inside these first 2 minutes at Western Sydney Stadiums. The Panthers and Storm 0-0, and it will be a penalty going Melbourne's way. That was Moses Leota, the infringing player.
Yeah, well, they'll need this penalty, the Melbourne Storm, because the Panthers have started defensively on fire. They trapped him in their own 5 metres off the first kickoff, and then as a result, they got the ball in great field position. They head down the field, put up a high kick and lots of pressure on Farlongo, but that penalty does give the Storm some good field position.
Cooper Clark, and a big tackle. He was taken down heavily by Moses Leota on halfway here. As I mentioned, Dino, Storm have position now, field position over halfway on play 2. No score so far, 2.5 gone first half after earlier South beat Canterbury at Stadium Australia. That was a couple of hours ago. Smith hits the deck, Munster wrapped up down there by Talangi, and now they come right edge now to Storm with Joe Chan. Tackle dirty out by his cousin Casey McLean, and now it comes off to Munster on his second last play. Through Arrow to Jerome Hughes. They shift him here to the left-hand side. Farlongo gets away from the tackle of Liam Martin. Still going here, Farlongo, and it will be the last now. 25 out, 5 in from the eastern side. Still no score so far. Panthers Storm on ABC Sport. Hughes, up goes his kick. They're all chasing it through here. Edwards competes in the air with Tumalatu Brown, and it's come out of the dead ball line off the Storm, and it will be a restart from 20, and Penrith with the set here out of that southern end of Western Sydney Stadium. Let's get the Ruan Sims on the touchline.
Well, on that last little raid down that left edge, Cam Munster was actually taken out. He took a tumble trying to chase that kick down, but I tell you what, this is a real opportunity here for Melbourne to roll up the sleeves and try and minimise the damage the Panthers attack.
7 tackle.
No, 6 again.
Oh, now it's a set restart. Yeah, it was a 7 tackle set to start with as well. I was a little confused because I know that we don't have knock-ons in goal, but it wasn't in goal, so it went over the dead ball line off the Storm. So it's a 7 tackle set. Now a set restart early on here. It was like that Papali'i is tackled 40 out, 20 in from the western side. Dummy half Lussick. Across here again now to Smith, and now Yo Cleary makes half a break on Munster. Sends the pass wide here, and it's Salamotti who's claimed 30 out from Melbourne's line. Only played 4 here for the Panthers. No score so far, 4.5 gone. They shift them back right to left here. Papali'i, and now McLean run down out there by Watere, and he'll play at 25 out, 5 in from the western side of the ground. Dummy half Talangi, flat ball to find Papali'i, and now Cleary to Yo. Off here to Leota, can't get the offload free. It'll be last play Panthers, get been out to the field. It comes across into Cleary, and it comes now from Alamotti on the bounce to To'o. He kicks off the Melbourne line. It will be recovered by the Penrith Panthers, and diving in to score is Liam Martin. Martin opens the scoring, scores the first try for Penrith. The Clive Churchill medalists, when these sides met in the grand final 2 years ago, scores the first 4 points of the game. 5 gone first half. Panthers 4, Storm 0, kick to come in Hallertau.
Yeah, well, as soon as Ruan identified the 6 again, it was alarm bells for the defence of the Melbourne Storm, and they were getting stretched either way. The Panthers were shifting the ball firstly from left to right, back to the left, and then all the way back over to the right. Then on last play, they were really struggling to get their numbers back and set on that short side left. Farlongo actually had to dive into a defender to try and cover their shortage, and then he tucks in behind the line. So a short little kick that gets trapped amongst some legs. Liam Martin does a great job to scoop it up and keep going, persisting his way through to the try line to open the account there for the Panthers. But what a relentless start from them.
150th game for Liam Martin tonight as well, so a milestone for him. It's actually his first try of the year in his 3rd game. On the touchline, Ruan Sims.
Well, relentless is the perfect way to describe the way the Panthers have started this game. They never die on any play. They continue to push, they continue to fight, and they dive on. Like, that was scrappy. That end was very, very scrappy. But guess who came up with it? A Penrith Panther. They dived on it. I thought that left edge defence really did try and shut that down well the first raid. But then once it was broken play, it was all the Panthers. They're just very, very hungry for this tonight.
So Liam Martin scores in the corner. Nathan Cleary places the ball on the tee. 21 metres out here, only a few in from the eastern side. He kicked 8 out of 8 last week at this ground against the Parramatta Eels. There's just a slight delay as they see whether there's anything to worry about, whether it's dived on by Martin, shoves away Munster, goes in, scores a try. That was the last replay we've seen. threw the ball in the air for good measure in celebration. So I think Cleary's allowed to kick to make it 6-0 after 6.5 minutes here at Western Sydney Stadium. Tough angle for a right footer. Cleary sizes up the posts. Didn't miss one last week. Comes in here, starts it right, swings it back, flags are up. Penrith 6, Melbourne 0. 7 going first half. NRL Friday on ABC Sport with Brett Sprigg, Dean Hallertau, Ruan Sims, and your text 0467920222. David from Randwick says, one would argue once that ball went to ground, it was a dead ball. Oh, that's the thing. It was so easy. He picked it up and just shrugged off one tackle, went in to score.
Yeah, and the other thing too, like if the ball's on the ground and you're holding it and someone is touching you, is it considered a tackle as well? But I didn't see that replay close enough.
Statement here from the Panthers. Can't wait to see the juggernaut roll on, says Bull and Stanham. Christopher the Butcher from Mudgee, making sausages ready for tomorrow. Still happy after the big Manly win last night, but backing the Panthers tonight. Thanks, team. And Red V in Brisbane says, why have ABC Sport and ABC Rapid? Why not just have Rapid? Well, we're all rapid here sometimes, especially in a rapid game like this. End-to-end stuff here. Panthers 6, Storm 4. A try through Liam Martin. But yeah, there are different rapid services with the AFL and whatever else. The NRL is on ABC Sport Rapid. We've got to all play it here. Lussick across to his co-captain Isaiah. Good post-contact gain in the tackle of Yutoika Manu. And he's all of a sudden 40 out from his own line, southern end. On the second last here, through hands to Edwards. Across here to Langy. Cut out ball here to McLean. And now Jenkins steps in field, taken by Waitere. He'll play it 40 out. 5 in from the western side. Last play, Panthers who lead 6-0. Comes the first receiver, Cleary. Up goes his last play kick. Running in there for Longo. Takes it, hits the deck here into some pressure from Isaiah Papali'i. And he'll play it 12 out from his own line. Melbourne will start their next set from there here at Western Sydney Stadium. We'll get to Ruan Sims very shortly and around the grounds across the other sports, but you can never take your eyes off a game that involves the Penrith Panthers and Melbourne Storm. Montella on a centre field run, driven back there by Leota. We'll play it now 20 out centre field. Dummy half grand. Haven't seen the Storm much ball at all tonight so far. So Storm across to the right-hand side. Talangi tackles Joe Chan. Comes back now to Jerome Hughes, trying to just cut his way past Papali'i and Yo. Play at 35 out. Last play. Spiralling left foot ball from Cameron Munster. Actually, it's a bit wobbly off the boot, so it sort of bounces end over end down towards Dylan Edwards. And the Panthers go back on the attack via their fullback. He shrugs away Yutoika Manu, and he's stopped there by Liero, 25 out, southern end. It's Penrith 6, Melbourne 0. 8.5 gone first half. Edwards is slow getting up here, holding his right ankle, and there'll be a slight break in play. Let's get down to Ruan Sims on the touchline.
Pre-game, Spriggy, did you say that Casey McLean and Joe Chan were cousins?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're playing on the same side,
Yes.
and that very last tackle was actually Casey McLean coming in to try and put him down, and we're just watching here, there appears to be a hip drop.
It's
by
Liero
Trent
on
Liero
Edwards.
on Dylan Edwards, and that's why Dylan Edwards has stayed down, and the fans here aren't happy.
No. So Edwards just trying to shrug off that little ankle injury. He's given the thumbs up here for the time being. Penalty and on report, Trent Liero. So penalty Panthers here at Western Sydney Stadium, where they lead 6-0.
Yeah, well, that's not what the Storm need. A bit of a wobbly touch finder there from Nathan Cleary. But, yeah, the Storm don't want to use up this early juice or that energy, because that's what the Panthers do really well, is just take away that early energy and get you even worse at the back end.
They shift from left to right here, the Penrith Panthers. And then eastern side, 20 in. Martin, the try scorer, tackle, plays it quickly. Leota gives him 8 metres more. 5 short of the halfway on play 2. Panthers 6, Storm 0. 9 gone first half. Cleary, a no-look pass off to his back rower in Martin. He ran headlong into Munster. Now claimed 40 out. Also when the tackle was King. Lussick back to Cleary, and now Isaiah. A centre field run. Takes 3 Storm players with him. And the Penrith coast skipper is brought down 30 out centre field. Lussick on this second last here. Cleary with a little show of the ball there to the defensive line is eventually tackled 20 out, 20 in. Played to Lussick. Across here to Langy. Shapes the kick set. Restart Penrith. Danger here for the Storm defensive line. Lindsay Smith tackled first. 12 out left-hand side of the post. 6-0 the home side's lead here. Another set restart. So back-to-back set restarts in this set here for Melbourne in defence. Panthers on the attack. Leota bounced off the defensive line there. Clark met him in concert with Grant Yutokamano, and now Lindsay's, Lussick back to Edwards. Tackled by Munster. 7 short of the line, right-hand side of the post. Only play 2 here for the Panthers. 6-0 their lead. Lussick open side left. Leota back on the inside now for Yo, and now Cleary to Langy, off to McLean. Got away from Waitere. Hang on for dear life did Waitere. He'll play it there, McLean. It comes back to Papali'i on play 4. He stands in the tackle of Jerome Hughes. He's barely a metre away from Melbourne's line. Lussick burrows himself from dummy half. Is he there for a grounding? Ref Ash Klein says yes. Panthers score their second. After 11 minutes, the Panthers are 10-0, kick to come. And all of a sudden, so far in this game, 58% possession as the Panthers look to protect this unbeaten start to the year. It's looking so far so good, Dean Hallertau.
Yeah, and I mentioned before about energy and not wanting to give too much up early in the piece. Giving away a penalty, then going back-to-back restarts. I think you counted 3, maybe throughout that passage of play. Spriggy, if you're going to keep doing that, you are going to have to be on task the next tackle, or else Penrith will exploit that. This time it's the newbie to the squad in Freddie Lussick, who's got that number 9 jersey in place of Kenny. He identifies it's a loose play the ball, or at least loose markers around the play the ball after the Papali'i run. He picks the ball up and just finds himself some tired defenders to get underneath and score the 4-pointer. And yeah, it's really alarming here for the Storm and how comfortable the Penrith Panthers are getting across the line.
Now at his 4th NRL club, Freddie Lussick, he scores a try for the Penrith Panthers. Let's go back to the touchline. Rowan Sims.
Well, the reason that ruck was so loose with their markers is because it took that run by Papali'i actually drew in 6 Melbourne Storm defenders, and you could see the panic, not so much panic, but them screaming to actually create space, get away from the play the ball and make sure that they filled in the gaps there. And that's why there was that little half gap for Lussick to just dive through.
Nathan Cleary. 20 out, 10 in Western side, 1 from 1 so far tonight to make an early 12-0 lead in the Panthers' favour. And this pushes right across the face of goal and it's waved away. So he's now 1 from 2, and it remains Penrith 10, Melbourne 0 here on NRL Friday on ABC Sport. AFL second quarter in Adelaide. Fremantle 53 lead the Crows 27. A-League women full-time, Wellington 2, Adelaide 0. Second half, Melbourne victory 1, Perth Glory 0. A-League men first half, Adelaide 1, Auckland FC 0. Earlier at Stadium Australia, it was the Rabbitohs 32, the Bulldogs 24 in the first of our 2 big Good Friday games. As you mentioned, Dean Hallertau, 3 ruck infringements, and they were in quick succession in that last set. The Storm gave away, and that's why they find themselves 10-0 down here, 12 gone first half. Back from the kickoff, Smith tackled, plays it now. Lussick fires a pass across to Isaiah Papali'i, and he's swarmed on there by 3 Storm players. We're in their prominently white away strip tonight. The Panthers in their normal home jersey. Leota backs his way there into Cooper Clark, who's now playing marker. And now Lussick, early kick from behind the 40. Chasing it back is Farlongo. It will bounce toward that Melbourne goal line, but Farlongo takes it a few metres shy, and he runs back across the goal here, but Talangi gets him. Nice support from Lussick as well, got there first, and Talangi just stopped him there, but there was held down here, penalty Melbourne. So we'll go their way, penalty count 2-1, scoreline 10-0 Penrith.
Yeah, great work from Freddie Lussick, and I'm going to mention before about him replacing Mitch Kenny, who's been a mainstay in that 9 jersey and one of their best players over the last few years. But Freddie Lussick goes the early kick. It's a 40-20 threat, but not only that, he reacted to his outside players who were right on the job. They're pushing up for a chase, and they got down there and applied some pressure. Unfortunately for the Panthers, just pushed it a little bit too hard to give that penalty away.
13 minutes played here at Western Sydney Stadium. Melbourne go back on the attack here and play 9 short of the halfway, and he's a little slow getting up down there. Is Waitere. Play it for Grant. Across here. 20 in from the Western side, taken down is Joe Chan. That possession jumped up to 65% at one stage here, Penrith's way, after the try to Freddie Lussick. Liam Martin scored the first try of the game. Melbourne 48 from Penrith's line, their best look for a while. Yutokamano bounced off Cleary, he's taken down by Alamotti, and Martin comes in as well, make the tackle. 25 out, 12 in from the eastern side. And there'll be a set restart Melbourne. Munster rips the inside ball back to Trent Leero. Penalised for a hip drop earlier, and he's got a full 360 in the tackle of Smith. Also in there is Isaiah Yeo. Grant goes from dummy half to Xiaomi Mi. Back in the side after a back injury. Tackle 10 short at Southern goal line now. Storm across Penrith's line. Comes to Munster. Now to his halves partner in Hughes. On to Joe Chan, who just stepped over Isaiah Papali'i. Played 10 out. Blindside right they come. Munster off to Waitete, who dives over and scores. So the Storm this time make good on those set restarts. Penetrate Penrith's line and score their first points of the night through Mania Waitete. 10-4, kick to come Melbourne, 15 going first half. NRL Friday on ABC Sport with former Tiger, Bulldog and Kiwi Dean Hallertau.
It was Spriggy, you asked us in the pre-game about how do you pull apart the defence of the Panthers, and Rowan gave a really good insight into how you do that. It's pulling apart the middle, using some strong runners to pull apart the middle and then look to go to where the weaknesses are off the back of that. And the Melbourne Storm identified that really well. They got to an edge on the far side through a strong run into Tuikamanu, and then they shifted it all the way back to the right. Another strong run by Chan into contact. It was a bit messy over the top of his half in Jerome Hughes, but once he gets up, Harry Grant jumps in. He knows that it's a quick play. The ball gets it straight to Munster, who finds a hard line run by Waitete, and they get across the line to claw their way back into this game, the Melbourne Storm.
Waitete played one game for the Canberra Raiders last year. It was that 62-24 loss at the hands of the Dolphins. Like the rest of the bunch of players. He's a Sharks junior. Scored his first try for Melbourne. His first NRL try as well. Here's Nick Meaney. 21 out. Angle right-hand side. Just sneaks in. Great kick. The right foot goal kick of Nick Meaney. He's 1 from 1. The Storm 6, trail Penrith 10 here. 16 going first half at Western Sydney Stadium. Touchline we go. Ruwan Sims.
I think Dino described that set of 6 really well. I'll even add a little bit extra is because it was actually Jerome Hughes with that half break through the middle, which then started to collapse that defence. And the biggest thing is when you collapse defence, you need to move the ruck and then attack the ruck. And I think that's what Melbourne did brilliantly. Hughes, again, involved in the lead up to that try being scored. Once Munster saw that, he flipped around to that space, and that created that numbers. Really nice play.
16 gone, 24 left, first half here. NRL Friday on ABC Sport. Kickoff goes deep down towards the goal area. Oh, Josh King slips over in the oncoming traffic. He'll play it 11 out from his own line. Grant dummy half. Across here again now to Joe Chan. He'll now play it 15 metres out. Grant grips it left-hand side of the park. Leero, mentioned on report for a hip drop on Dylan Edwards earlier. Will now play it 25 out. Centre field. Josh King comes up the right-hand side now. Tackled 30 out. This is second last play here for Melbourne. Early kick comes from Munster. High and long cross field. Taken on the chest of Dylan Edwards. Plenty of open space for him out there, the fullback, and he's claimed eventually 40 out from his own line here. That's where the Panthers will start their next set. They lead 10-6. 17 gone in this first half. And they roll on upfield here on play 2 with a run from Brian To'o. Lussick dummy half. Through hands to Jenkins. And now here goes Talangi, who's brought down by Jerome Hughes. Play at 40 out from Melbourne's line. And Casey McLean gets nowhere. Followed by Hughes and also Leero. So it'll be second last play for the Panthers. 10-6 their lead. Centre field run now from Lindsay Smith. And he's stopped 25 out. Hand in the air from Refash Klein on last play. Lussick to Cleary. A probing lob ball towards the corner. It's come off to Malatu Brown. It's still alive here for Melbourne last. No, it's really deemed that it was knocked forward by the Panthers, I think that's Klein saying. Yeah, so changeover, and it will be Melbourne's ball. 10 out from their own line. 18 gone first half. Penrith 10, Melbourne 6.
Yeah, it was challenging. And I think Cleary just went straight up to Alamotti and asked him about what he thought, and got an immediate reaction.
Let's hear from Chris Butler in the bunker.
It's not gone by Melbourne afterwards. It's play on.
I just want to explain the situation.
Look, Alamotti may have got his hand in front of the ball and swiped it backwards.
Ashclaw made the call pretty quick. I think he thought he was pretty confident, but Alamotti gets up.
I thought it was, yeah.
defence.
Ball definitely touches the right arm here of Paul Alamotti. Just need direction.
I reckon it travels forward and then he touches it again, or if not, two of them either. Brown touches it.
Got to be contesting.
On the way, it's Melbourne's ball.
The guy with two and then
It's hard to get the perspective on if the ball actually goes backwards or forwards.
Because the contact is fairly immediate.
looking at the right hand here of Stewart. After touching Paul Alamotti's arm, it continues to travel forward into his hand, which is a knock-on. The captain's challenge is unsuccessful.
There we go. Alas, Penrith continues to lead here 10-6. 18 gone first half. Touchline we go. Ruan Sims.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the right call. The crowd here didn't like it, but also when Liam Martin went up, he was getting involved as well, and I could hear the Melbourne Storm defence asking. I thought you had to go up with two hands, but the referee said, no, if you're contesting, one is all right.
Already played two here for the Storm, still inside their own red zone, 20 out from that northern line. Played down there by the winger, Will Warbrick. Scored 4 tries against the Cowboys last week in a losing cause. Reminder of what's at stake. The Storm haven't lost 3 games in a row since 2022. That was the late stage of that year. Offload comes from Comano back to Grant, now Liero to King. Lifted up there by Liam Martin. Almost lost down there by the fullback, Suafalongo, who's lost the headgear for the time being. He'll play at 30 out, 20 in from the western side. On play 4 now for the Melbourne Storm. They trail 10-6. Comano. Flick pass, offload back to Harry Grant. Jerome Hughes tries to explode away, but he's dragged down from behind by Isaiah. Right short of halfway. Set restart Melbourne. A full set inside Penrith's half, which is where we saw them score the try a short time ago through Waitere. Taking advantage of the set restart. Shoved back here by Liero to Grant. Now Munster, nowhere to go. Takes on Liotta. And he stands in a 3-man tackle. On the red paint of the 40, dead centre field. Comes to King, left-hand side of the paddock. Straightens his run there in towards Cleary, and now tackled. Almost a one-on-one steal away by Cleary. King still has it though, and he'll play it. On tackle 3 now for the Storm, 30 out from Penrith's line. Left to right, they shift it now as Munster to Hughes, and now Farlongo again, coming in from the side. Big tackle McLean on Farlongo. He'll play it 20 out. And now Grant comes open side left. Hughes sees them a bit thin out wide there, the Penrith defence. Comano will play it 13 out centre field. Come back here to Jerome Hughes. Dinky kick for the corner. Up leaps Warbrick with Jenkins. Warbrick beaten by Jenkins. As Connell will say, there's an obstruction here. Is this or contact on the kicker, is it, coming back?
Yeah, I think so.
On the kicker. So,
push on the kicker.
Yeah, it was just said there, Ash Klein. So it's going to come back here to where Hughes was. It's a great aerial contest there with Warbrick and Jenkins, the two wingers. Last it'll be penalty Melbourne. And this will put Penrith's goal line defence under pressure again, Dean Hallertau.
Yeah, it certainly will. And for the Storm, that set had a lot of offloads. The second phase play is what enabled the Storm to get down that end of the field. So they're finding some joy getting their arms free.
So they get a full set with the penalty, 10 out from Penrith's line. 3 hands, Munster. Off to Cooper Clark, the youngster. Still chasing his first career try. Tackled 6 out left-hand side of the post. Grant off to Yatoi Comano. Wrapped up there by Martin. He's only 2.5 metres shy. Grant off to Hughes. Can he engineer a kick? No, the pass to the inside. Back here to his back rower in Joe Chan. He'll play it. 5 out from Penrith's line. Play 3, make it 4 now for Penrith. Grant, 2 hands, Lero. Must have tip wide from Meany. Off to Tuamulatu Brown. He's dragged into touch by that relentless Penrith defence, which has been so on song for the early part of this season. If not tonight, but it will be Penrith's ball now out of their own end. They still lead 10-6, 21 gone, 19 left first half. Touchline we go, Ruan Sims.
Well, I think it's really important to note there that the gumption that Penrith actually showed on their try line. They kept turning up time and time again. But I tell you what, they don't want to have too much of that ill discipline like Isaiah Papali'i on that last push. You don't want to try and test your goal line defence continuously through a whole 80 minutes.
Penrith go on the advance again. 15 out from their own line through Tom Jenkins off the SMS. Greg and Nicky, happy Easter, enjoying the call while playing darts in Dunsborough, Western Australia. Great part of the world down there in the southwest of WA. A lot of listeners in that part of the world, which is fantastic. Listening via ABC Listen. Here goes Alamotti for the Panthers. Pops out the offload there in the path of Dylan Edwards. And he gains some more meterage here as Papali offloads back now. Talangi, now McLean dummies. Goes on the inside of Will Warwick. Outside out Tom Jenkins. He's chased by Warwick, and Jenkins, Milky, flies into the corner and scores his 11th try of this new campaign. And Penrith get one back just when the Storm were coming and things were evening up a little bit. The Penrith Panthers are in to score to make it 14-6, kick to come. A try for Tom Jenkins, and there is 18 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah, well, as quick as you like, it's against the run of play, well, at least against the possession that the Storm have enjoyed the last few minutes. There's a little offload out the back from Alamotti. It wasn't a great offload, but Dylan Edwards is a man that picks up the ball, and he just starts crabbing across field, looking for a weakness or someone being lazy in the Melbourne Storm line. He eventually gets it to Blaze Talangi, who gets it into Casey McLean's hands really quickly, knowing that there's space outside. It's a bit of a 2-on-1 situation on the edge. Casey McLean sends Will Warbrick out. He's able to pop in behind and show plenty of pace to get through to the backfield, then draw and pass for Alongo, and Jenkins just outpaces Warbrick on his way to the try line.
Back to the touchline, Ruan Sims.
One thing that impresses me about the Panthers is just their ability to turn into attack so quickly. They transition so quickly between attack and defence, and they get themselves set into position nice and early so they are able to actually take advantage of any opportunities that come their way. They don't just throw a hit up down the middle to set up for another play. Everything has a purpose. I'll tell you what, that is the perfect example of it.
Mark from Brisbane off the SMS says, great to hear the footy back home after camping in New South Wales and Victoria for the last 3 weeks, and happy that the season will once again be a 2-horse race with the Panthers and the Storm. The Broncos will be happy dark horses. Good on you, Mark. Thank you for that text. 0467920222. Billy from Barara says Lussick seems solid as a number 9, but how's his bird watching? Yes, Mitch Kenny revealed to us recently that he's into his bird watching, and he's getting some teammates into the what do they call it? Is it twitching? Is that what they call it? They call it twitches, I think, bird watchers.
I thought there was something. I thought twitching was a gaming thing.
I think it can be. But anyway, so yeah.
Bit of a hold up here. I'm not sure. Maybe a knock on is.
Seeing Edwards gather it here, as I mentioned.
It's confirmed, Nathan. It's confirmed. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I can't see what they were looking for there. Nathan Cleary is 20 metres out here and only a few steps in from that western touchline. He's 1 from 2 so far tonight. 17 minutes left in the opening 40 to make it a 16-6 Penrith scoreline. And again, it's across the face. So only 1 from 3 off the back of 8 out of 8 last week against the Parramatta Eels. What's Rue's good with these sort of words. What's a bird enthusiast?
Oh, well, I just texted her, messaged it to you. Ornithology. Ornithology is the study of birds, but it's more about behaviour,
yes,
ecology, that sort of stuff. But you know what? Let's go real scientific with it. They're not twitchers, they're ornithologists. Aspiring ornithologists.
Avian experts, maybe. So,
yeah, nice.
14-6 is the scoreline here as far as the footy is concerned. And the Storm kick off down towards that southern goal line. And that hit a Lindsay Smith. He meets a wall of Melbourne defence here. 15 out, 20 in from the western side. And now it will be penalty going the Panthers' way. Really slow ruck there from Melbourne. So 16:40 left here. 0467920222. What a handle, Milky Jenkins, as good as Beetroot Williams, Vic horse trainer, Peter from Townsville. Oh yeah, it was Beetroot Williams, a Victorian horse trainer. Thank you, Peter in Townsville, for the explanation. Terry in Perth listening to the ABC as well. Yeah, love our listeners out west. It's my old part of the world, and of course the Bears coming in next year. Announced their mascot yesterday, by the way, didn't they? Cody the Bear. Here they come, Lindsay Smith on play 2 for the Panthers at the back of the penalty. Play at 5 short of the halfway. Lussick finds his captain Yo, takes on the other captain there in Grant, the opposing skipper, and also coming across is Alec McDonald in the defensive line. 5 inside Storm territory, and this is a barnstorming run for Moses Leota, who gains 15 metres. He's 30 out now from that northern line. Second last play here for the Panthers. 14-6 their lead. Cleary tries to put someone through a hole out there. It's Martin. He's tackled though, and now it's going to be penalty Penrith. Oh, he takes a quick advantage here. Liam Martin caught the Melbourne defence napping. Gets to within 6 of the goalpost to the end. Play it there for Lussick. If we can see Craig now, goodness me. Lussick goes to ground here, 5 out from the posts. Looking to add to this 14-6 lead. And Isaiah Yo goes from dummy half, and again, Melbourne was nowhere. Where were the markers? He's tackled just inches shy of that northern line. Lussick fires it back to Cleary, almost lost it. There he goes, back on that line. Beats Josh King, scores a try himself, Nathan Cleary. Well, there will be frustration there from Craig Bellamy on a couple of fronts. Maybe the officiating, maybe his own players, a bit of both. But either way, the Panthers score their 4th try of the game. 18-6 kick to come. Cleary the try scorer, 14 and a half left, opening 40.
Yeah, well, not for the first time tonight we've seen a penalty result in points to the Panthers. They get the penalty to head downfield, and then there's another penalty given for a strip on Liam Martin. He takes the option of the quick tap and go, and as you said, they were napping the defenders there for the Storm, so they were scrambling from that point on, and a number of tackles through the middle of the field, and just that centre got pulled apart. They weren't there. The one before that, Isaiah Yo goes from dummy half, that you called Spriggy. There was no markers set in time, but they scrambled and got the tackle done, and then on the ensuing play, they shift to their left, the Panthers. They get pulled apart again, the defence, and Nathan Cleary was able to step off that left foot, come back through the middle, and just find those tired defenders.
Back to the touchline, Ruan Sims.
Well, I'm just watching a replay, and it looks like Lindsay Smith runs through, and actually Jerome Hughes hits the deck. That's why that space opened up. And look, the referee's not making any overtures to stop this try, but I just think that's something that really needs to, the Melbourne Storm defence really need to make sure their middle ties in with those edges when that happens.
Nathan Cleary to convert his own try here. He's 15 metres out, 21 in from the western side. And only 1 from 3 so far tonight. This is probably his easiest look so far. And he stinks it in near side. Flags are up at the north end of Western Sydney Stadium. Penrith 20, Melbourne 6 here. NRL Friday on ABC Sport. You're with Brett Sprigg, Dean Hallertau and Ruan Sims. Neil says it would be possible to have a 5-minute segment on bird watching during the halftime period of the NRL matches. If so, your broadcast would be entertaining and informative, but it would be educational as well. I can't imagine that'll be happening, Neil, but thank you for your enthusiasm. You know who's a keen twitcher in more ways than one? Dennis Carnahan. Yeah. 26, the scoreline here. 13 and a half left. Go around the ground shortly as well. In fact, in the AFL half-time, Freo 54, Adelaide 29. That game in Adelaide. Back here at Western Sydney Stadium. Smith. Back from the kick-off. Tackled, plays it now. Liotta, his fellow front rower. Brought down 25 out. This is Liotta. 200 gamer. He's back across here again now to Liam Martin. He scored the first try of the game. And helps set up that last one as well for the Panthers. Flat ball from dummy half finds Isaiah Yo. On tackle 4 here now for the Penrith Panthers. 20 points to 6 their lead. 12:50 left before half-time. Edwards in best position now receives it. Gains half a dozen. Tackle just short of the halfway. Last play Panthers. Lussick off to Cleary. High spiralling right foot ball down towards Sorfalono. Takes it comfortably and comes up Main Street there where he's met by Lussick and also Lindsay Smith. 25 out from his own line.
Yeah, well, a better set there defensively from the Storm. Obviously, they didn't give away any penalties, so they get through it. But the 3 guys still not back behind the balls. That's the team really setting in as we approach, 27 minutes gone in this game.
Yeah, 12 and a half left here as McLean comes out of the line there to tackle Waitete. He scored the Storm's only try in this first half. Already the game slipping away from them. Storm on the attack. Donald tackle, plays it now. Liero takes on Isaiah Yo. And he tumbles to ground, metre short of the halfway. Last play Melbourne. Grant fires it left for Cameron Munster. He just measures his kick down towards that far wing and it bounces out from Dylan Edwards. 5 short of the corner post. It will be Penrith's ball from that part of the ground. Deep in that south-eastern corner. Penrith 20, Melbourne 6, 11:40 left. Let's go back to the touchline. Ruan Sims.
Well, I've just got a really close-up view here of both teams, and there are some tired bodies in this Melbourne Storm outfit. The body language is not what I would usually expect to see from them, but we'll see what energy they have in defence in this set.
Michael and Dubbo not happy with Ashley Klein's refereeing so far. Not sure if Craig Bellamy is either, but it's neither here nor there. Brian To'o, 25 out centre field. As Lussick comes back to the blind side left here for the run of Casey McLean, tackled 40 out. Play 4 here for the Panthers. Out in action now, Billy Phillips, who's only playing his 5th career game. Debuted round 26 against Canterbury last year. Played every game so far. The lad from Lake Cargilligo. And now they come across that 40-metre line here inside Melbourne's half. This time Cleary tackled by McDonald. Lussick on last play. Links up with Talangi. Up goes the kick. Down towards Warbrick's corner. Jenkins flies through the air. Warbrick brings it down this time, no question. And the Storm will go back on the attack. 15 out from their own line at Northern End, but the Panthers lead here, 20 points to 6. 10 and a half left to half-time.
Yeah, another good set by the Panthers in terms of just getting through to a kick. And Nathan Cleary went for a little dart on the last play. So Blade Talangi steps up. A nice spot that he gets in, and the pressure comes through. And it's more systems work here for the Panthers. They just get back into the rhythm of now being in defence.
And he plays it now here. Here's a bit of a burst from Jack Hetherington. He got his start with the Panthers back in 2018. Played for 3 other clubs as well, the Warriors, the Raiders and Newcastle. Last play kick goes down towards Jenkins. So Melbourne ends the set here. Penrith go back on the attack. Jenkins tackled 25 out and 12 in from the western side with a clean 10 minutes left to the break here at Western Sydney Stadium. This is NRL Friday on ABC Sport. Casey McLean brings it back into the defensive line here. 35 out. Plays it quickly. Lussick across here to Brian To'o, who's scored just the 2 tries so far from the first 4 games. Tries in rounds 2 and 3. He's got teammates that have scored 11 so far in the case of Tom Jenkins. Good start as well for Dylan Edwards at fullback. Now Yo, centre field run here for the lock forward and captain. And he's tackled there by Hetherington. 40 out from that northern line. Last play Penrith. Lussick finds Cleary. Puts on his boot down towards that far corner. Tumalatu Brown brings it down here. And he's tackled by Luke Garner, who's a 2-time premiership winner for the Panthers. Storm back on the attack here at Western Sydney Stadium, but they trail 20 points to 6 at the hands of the still unbeaten Penrith Panthers. 25 out here, the Storm on play 2. It comes to Warbrick, pressing up through centre field, but in there first was Lussick and Papali'i on him. Played to Grant, a pass in close there to Nick Meaney, and now Garner comes across with his hand over his shoulder. Tackled 12 short of the halfway. Midway through the set now for the Storm. It will show and go from Munster. Links up with Hughes. They come and shift both numbers here to the right-hand side, but Failongo was brought down 5 short of the halfway. And now at dummy half, Joe Chan back to Hughes. Ends the set with a high sprawling kick. Tough task for Edwards. Lets it bounce. Edwards will take it 15 out now, and eventually is claimed by Grant and Waitere. 20 out from his own line. 15 in from the western side. So 8:20 left here in the first half. It's the Panthers 20, the Storm 6.
Yeah, a really important period here before half-time for the Storm in particular, and that is just to stay controlled and not concede any more points. It's turned into a bit of back and forth. Both teams showing a lot of patience. Not very adventurous when they've got the ball, but if the Panthers get points before half-time, that will really dispirit the Storm.
Oh, Lussick and now Edwards on a centre field run here. Early kick from Lussick on the second last from just behind the 40. It'll trickle down towards about 15 out shy of the corner post. Failongo retrieves it, brings it back here, and he's just lifted there by Alamotti and Garner. And he'll play it 18 out from his own line here. So he's been just sort of manhandled then, Failongo on that first tackle. Tumalatu Brown, and now the other winger and Warbrick for the Melbourne Storm. 30 out, already on play 3. They trail 20 points to 6 with 7:20 left. Waitere spins off Papali'i, run down from behind by Isaiah Yo. 6 short of the halfway here, the Melbourne Storm. Grant finds Hughes, off here again to Hetherington, and he's tackled metre inside Penrith territory. Last play for the visitors. Hughes up that right edge. High kick for Edwards, keeps the feet planted, takes it 12 out, makes light work of Joe Chan, not Soliero and Warbrick. They'll start their next set from there, the Penrith Panthers. 15 out from their own line, 20 points to 6 their lead. They try and strip the Storm numbers here to the right-hand side, but now Sorensen at dummy half. His first involvement tonight. got it off to Brian To'o, tackled ball and all by Hetherington. And now Lussick goes himself from dummy half, gains a dozen. Hits the deck, 40 out, 20 in, eastern side. 6.5 left before half time here at Western Sydney Stadium. Cleary got it away through hands back to that man in Billy Phillips. And now Talangi through a gap, links up Papali, offloads back to Blake Talangi, and now McLean to Jenkins on the outside. They're chasing him. Jenkins kicks in field. Edwards streaks up. Mini gets there first and bats it dead. Oh, if not for the bounce of the ball there. But Edwards, well, he was there, but Mini was there first and prevents the next Penrith try thanks to a neat kick from Tom Jenkins. Panthers 20, Storm 6, 5:50 left first half. Touchline we go, Ruan Sims.
If you want a stats understanding of how dominant the Penrith Panthers are, they are completing at 100% already in this first half, and Melbourne Storm are completing at 92%, and they're down by 14 points.
Short drop out Melbourne. It'll just go to Jenkins, waiting for it. And thankfully, for Melbourne's sake, Wishart was waiting for him. Tackles him each side of the line. But they've still got 5 tackles left here, the Panthers. Edwards to Yo. Big gap out there, right-hand side of the post. Takes on 4 Storm defenders. He gets to the metre of that northern goal line. Play it there for Lussick, tackle 3. 20 points to 6 their lead. Cleary, wide to Edwards. Almost intercepted and knocked away over the eastern side by Tumalatu Brown. Well, it was dicey stuff there. They could get that ball to Malatu Brown, but it will be now more Penrith ball, 10 out from that Melbourne line.
You're just watching Wishart. He's just recently come on the field. He got a bit of maybe a forearm and elbow trying to tackle Thomas Jackson's right in his neck. So he's been clutching at his throat throughout that set. Just keep an eye on things for him.
Play at centre field, 10 out. Sorensen takes on the line here. Tackle 6 metres shy, right-hand side of the uprights. Lussick, who scored a try himself, finds a first receiver there in Billy Phillips. Early in his career. Ash Klein resets the markers here as Lussick goes left-hand side. Cleary inside to Papali'i. Scored against his old side at the stadium last week. 4:20 left first half. Penrith 20, Melbourne 6 the scoreline. Lussick goes it across the line now. Shares it with Cleary. Low pass Edwards. Dropped by Brian To'o. Well, again, they'd stripped that Melbourne defence for numbers on that left edge. And Brian To'o just couldn't finish it off. So 4 minutes left here. 20 points to 6 the scoreline. Kylie from Daysdale says, "Hi guys, thanks for another brilliant call. Happy Easter to you all." Likewise to you, Kylie. Gabo said, "Penrith are offside every game on tackles 1, 2 and 3 and never get penalised. And don't give me any line speed crap. They get away with it every more than any other team." Thank you, Gabo, for your instant feedback. 15 out, scrum feed here, 10 in from the eastern side for the Melbourne Storm with 3.5 left in this half of footy.
Yeah, well, the Storm were actually doing pretty good in that defensive set. I know the ball got out to Brian To'o and he came up with the error, but the Storm had numbered up. Even though they were numbered up, they still looked a little bit panicked. So, they're up against it tonight, and we knew that was going to be the case.
Hazard in Cairn says, "Hey, Spriggy, if the Twitchers are lucky, they might see a Falcon." Yeah, indeed. Went to the right-hand side now, back on the left with Munster. Wrapped up down there by Alamotti. And Penrith strong in defence here, even with Melbourne inside their own half. Hughes will kick on the second last from inside 40. It'll spin down in front of Edwards. Bounces back here for Edwards, who fields it 5 out from his own line. And by the time he's tackled, he's 15 out. And 15 in from the western side. Penrith 20, Melbourne 6 the scoreline. 2:40 left before we get to half-time at Western Sydney Stadium. Earlier, South Sydney 32, Canterbury 24. The 2 tries, Latrell Mitchell in that win. And more questions asked now about the Bulldogs. More on that later on. Played here by McLean. On play 4 here for the Panthers. Edwards gains about 13 more before Liero and Hetherington great him, 35 out. Cleary, 2:20 left on the clock in this half. Finishes the set with a kick down to Farlongo. And the Melbourne fullback. Too quick for Garner. Garner rips his head off. And legal, says the referee. So, again, that might be something Capability might give some feedback on, I reckon. 20 out from that northern line. Storm on the attack, play 2. They trail 20 points to 6 at the hands of the undefeated Penrith Panthers. To Ruan Sims shortly. Pass from dummy half, Grant finds Munster. And now McDonald put down the tackle of Garner and Cleary. Play at 35 out. Flat ball from dummy half. Lero's pass wide. On the bounce to Waitere. Their only try scorer so far for the Storm. His first in the NRL. Chip and chase here from Falongo. Takes on Edwards. Edwards gets there first. Burns Hughes. Pass back to Papali'i. 80 seconds left in this half of footy. Penrith were the first of 7 here. Yet to be tackled as they won the footy back. So 5 short of the halfway. And that's 0 tackle. Now a full set inside Melbourne's half. Isaiah Yeo takes on Jack Hetherington. He'll play it just for the halfway strike. Alamotti took on Wishart, got away from him. 35 out, 20 in from that far side. 50 seconds left. Play 3 Penrith with a 20 points to 6 lead at Western Sydney Stadium. Here's McLean. Puts on a clean pair of heels here. On the inside, Burns Falongo takes on Hughes, shuts Hughes away and slams it down. He's been dacked for his troubles as well. It's a full moon at Western Sydney Stadium, but it's a full Penrith Panthers scoreboard because McLean has scored and makes it 24 to 6. Kick to come, Penrith.
Yeah, well, I mentioned before about how important this period before halftime is for the Storm, and right there, the Panthers, they do what every team is going to hate, and that's start shifting the ball when there's tired bodies, but they're not doing it uncontrolled. They're looking for options that are there and that are presented to them. And Casey McLean, he gets a shift. And Blaze Tully actually got nailed after he passed the ball, but once it got into McLean's hand, he found some space off the left foot, beats the inside defenders, then he shrugs away from far long on the backfield. As you said, the cover defence pulls his pants down as he heads across the try line, and he's a bright young talent, McLean, and he shows just why there.
Touchline we go, Ruan Sims.
Oh, this is just peak Penrith Panthers performance. Just the way they go about their work is fantastic. They identify any little threats they can find and they just exploit. All they identified was Waitere was up. He didn't check and release quick enough. That created the space on the outside, and it was just pure strength from the centre. Even when he was pantsed, he was still driving to that try line.
I tell your microphone's working, Roo, because you said peak Penrith Panthers performance. There's no popping in the mic.
Yeah,
so
this is the tongue twisters that you get ready for the day.
That's what we'll use to test our microphones for distortion. Peak Penrith Panthers performance.
It's one of Turbuckle's favourites.
Yeah. What's the team up north in the best? Parabadoo Penguins or something? Parabadoo Panthers might be one of the rugby league teams up there. Anyway, 20 out, 5 in from the western side here. Cleary 2 from 4 so far tonight. The extras on Casey McLean's try on half time. Starts at left, it comes back and over the black dot. So, Penrith 26, Melbourne 6. All signs point to Penrith staying perfect for the first 5 rounds, but of course the Storm will not be done yet. Tries in that first half to Liam Martin after 4 minutes, Lussick in the 10th, Jenkins in the 21st, Cleary in the 24th, and Casey McLean just before half-time there. As I mentioned, Cleary now 3 from 5 across the evening so far, while for the Melbourne Storm, Manaia Waitere scored in the 14th minute. Nick Meaney added the conversion, and that is our 26-6 half-time scoreline. Possession 55% in Penrith's favour. It was as high as 65 at one stage after their first couple of tries. Completions 95 to 94. So it's a high-quality game as far as that stat category. Line breaks 6-1 Penrith, as evidenced by the number of tries scored, which of course is 5-1, and the penalty count is 3 all. Melbourne gave up the first 3 ruck infringements of that half of footy. It's now 3-2. And on report was Trent Loiero for a hip drop on Dylan Edwards, which he did experience some minor discomfort in his ankle, but Edwards didn't go off or anything, and he's certainly back in the game and no further issues for him. 26-6 the scoreline here. Dean Hallertau, what impressed you most about the Panthers in that opening 40?
Oh, there's so much that impresses you about the Panthers. And look, the way that they play with such intensity is so hard to ignore. They just get down the field with a lot of purpose in the way they carry the ball. ball. I thought Moses Leota started the game so strong through the middle, and when he carries, it's like you have to put everything you can into trying to stop his forward momentum, but once he gets it going, it's so hard to do. That's followed up by the likes of Isaiah Yeo. He's very much the same, but he's got that run-pass threat, which he showed throughout that first half again, making plenty of meters, and off the back of that, Nathan Cleary's able to play forward and bring his outside backs onto the ball, and they just generate so much downfield momentum. The Storm unfortunately conceded penalties and some ruck infringements, which gave some good field position to the Panthers, and they're just able to capitalise on that and score points. That's what they do better than anyone else in the competition, is when they get good possession, they're very effective with it. They turn it into points more often than not, and you have to be on your game defensively to try and turn them away. So if you look at the stats, the Storm probably didn't perform that badly in terms of possession. They were slightly behind, but completion rate's 94%, which is super high. They didn't miss too many tackles, but all the tackles they did miss led directly to points. So they look tired very, very quickly. They need to not concede those penalties or ruck infringements and try and stay in the game with their energy as it wears through the second half.
I'm not a ref basher. I don't trust my inherent knowledge of the game to take on Ashley Klein and Grant Atkins and the quality referees we have in this competition. Craig Bellamy, I think, will have some things to say about a few things that went against them in that first half. And
as most coaches do when you go against them.
Yes. But in that first half, McLean ran for 131, Jenkins 115, Edwards 109. So the work for the outside backs is extraordinary as well for the Penrith Panthers. Ruwan Sims, anything more to add before we get to ABC News?
Well, it's just everything that the Penrith Panthers do. It has purpose and it has intent. And like I said during the call, and like Dino just spoke about, they don't just throw a player up to take a hit up for the sake of it. They always identify an opportunity from a quick turnover. They transition so quickly. And the only way that you can play this style of football is if you're super fit. And they are super fit. They have a genuine, distinct and thorough understanding of what their roles are. And they're able to execute that because their fitness is peak Penrith Panthers performance.
And maybe perfect tonight as well.
Maybe perfect. I also do have an ornithological idea about them. They're kind of like, Panthers are like the golden eagle, very dominant, the species. And then I feel like Melbourne are like crows. They're just trying to fight them. They want to try and get in there and bring the golden eagles down.
Love it. Great stuff, Ru.
Thank you. I googled that one.
More from you in the second half here at Western City Stadium. Round the grounds and the AFL third quarter. Fremantle 63 leads Adelaide 29. A-League women's second half. Melbourne victory 1 leads Perth Glory 0. A-League men's second half. Adelaide Auckland are 1-1. Here it's Penrith 26, Melbourne 6. Earlier, South Sydney 32 beat Canterbury Bankstown 24 at Stadium Australia. Right now, it's time for ABC News.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. More than 100 international law experts in the United States say the conduct of U.S. forces against Iran and statements by the Trump administration raise serious concerns about violations of international human rights law and international humanitarian law, including potential war crimes. Larry Buttrose reports.
A letter from the experts particularly notes a comment from President Donald Trump last month that the US may conduct some strikes on Iran just for fun. It also cites Defence Chief Pete Hegseth saying the US does not fight with what he termed stupid rules of engagement. Mr. Trump has again threatened to attack civilian infrastructure in Iran, including bridges and power plants, with a bridge strike already killing 8 people and injuring dozens. Meanwhile, Pentagon officials have given no reason for the dismissal of the US Army's top uniformed officer, General Randy George, after he was asked to step down by Mr. Hegseth.
The government of Pakistan has raised petrol prices by 40% and diesel by 50% as the effects of the US-Israeli war in Iran continue to reverberate across the world. More from the BBC's Caroline Davis in Islamabad.
The price hike was announced in a national address broadcast. Pakistan's petrol minister warned that the government had limited resources and there was currently no end in sight to the war. Pakistan is highly dependent on imported oil, mainly from Saudi Arabia and the UAE through the Strait of Hormuz. There will be some subsidies for certain users, including motorcyclists, small farmers and food transporters. But there are still concerns about the impact such a dramatic increase in prices will have on inflation.
The price of bottled water could be on the rise in India as a result of the war in Iran, with another very hot summer expected in India in the coming months and temperatures forecast above 45 degrees for some parts of the country. The blockade of oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz is lifting the price of plastic bottles as crude oil is required to produce them. According to a study by Data for India, about 15% of urban households and 6% of rural households depend on bottled water for their drinking needs, as access to clean water remains a challenge in many parts of India. Fears of a global economic downturn driven by the Middle East conflict are raising concerns Australia could be heading towards a recession. The Westpac Bank says rising fuel costs and geopolitical instability are rapidly shifting economic conditions as the Reserve Bank is facing a far more complex environment. Westpac says curbing inflation without tipping the economy into decline will be a challenge. Economists say ongoing energy shocks from the conflict could push prices higher and deepen recession risks in the months ahead. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia's conducting a major rolling aerial attack with a large number of drones currently in Ukrainian airspace. An Air Force official says Russia's launched over 400 long-range drones in the past 24 hours, as well as 10 ballistic missiles, primarily targeting areas near the front line. Multinational drug manufacturing company CSL has responded to U.S. President Donald Trump's latest tariffs announcement. Business reporter Adelaide Miller has the latest.
Drug manufacturer CSL said it isn't concerned about President Trump's 100% tariff announcement on drug imports. The Melbourne-based company has been heavily investing in US manufacturing capabilities to avoid possible taxes. In a statement to the ABC, a spokesperson said, "The vast majority of our trade into the US are plasma therapies that are made entirely from US-sourced plasma. We're reviewing the materials released today and will continue working with the administration to ensure access to plasma therapies."
Australian families have been making the most of the long weekend, with many staying closer to home to avoid high petrol prices. Hannah Moon reports.
Many families have made their way to the showgrounds this Good Friday as they seek to occupy excited children patiently waiting for the Easter Bunny's visit. North of Brisbane, the Caboolture Good Friday Carnival has been a hit with the kids.
I get to have some family time and have fun with my family and have a family memory.
You don't have to go too far, it's all in the one thing. Elsewhere, children have filled up their Easter baskets with chocolate after navigating their way through Easter hunts in Hobart. The fun and festivities are a sign of the joy to come this long weekend.
Happy Easter! And in the NRL, the Rabbitohs have taken out the Bulldogs 32 points to 24 in front of a bumper Good Friday crowd in Sydney. The Bulldogs' Stephen Crichton was forced out of the match in the 44th minute with a shoulder injury. You're up to date with the latest from ABC News.
Who will win the AI race? Has gambling become our national sport?
Questions. They've never been more important. So the one thing we'll never question is our duty to keep asking. ABC News. Keep asking.
ABC sports coverage of the 2026 NRL Premiership.
There'll be last play Panthers get been out to the field. It comes across here to Cleary, and it comes now from Alamotti on the bounce to To'o. He kicks off the Melbourne line. It will be recovered by the Penrith Panthers, and diving in to score is Liam Martin. He's barely a metre away from Melbourne's line. Lussick burrows himself from dummy half. Is he there for a grounding? Ref Ash Klein says yes. Panthers score their second. Leighton out, blindside right they come. Munster off to Waitani, who dives over and scores. So the Storm this time make good on those set restarts. Here goes Alamotti for the Panthers. Pops out the offload there in the path of Dylan Edwards. And he gains some more meterage here as Papali offloads back now to Lungy, and now McLean dummies. Goes on the inside of Warbrick, outside out Tom Jenkins. He's chased by Warbrick, and Jenkins, Milky, flies into the corner and scores his 11th try of this new campaign. 35 out, 20 in from that far side. 50 seconds left. Play 3 Penrith with a 20 points to 6 lead at Western Sydney Stadium. Here's McLean. Puts on a Clint Berry heels here on the inside. Burns Colano takes on Hughes, shuts Hughes away and slams it down. He's been dacked for his troubles as well. It's a full moon at Western Sydney Stadium, but it's a full Penrith Panthers scoreboard because McLean has scored.
ABC sports coverage of the 2026 NRL Premiership.
26 points to 6. Penrith leads the Melbourne Storm in our second Good Friday game here on ABC Sport. You're with Brett Sprigg alongside Premiership winner Dean Hallertau and World Cup winner Ruan Sims. And as I mentioned earlier, South 32 beat Canterbury 24. One thing I didn't mention, just to remind you of, is Stephen Crichton suffering that shoulder injury. So Cameron Straldo spoke after the game in his press conference and said it's not looking great. They're saying potentially a grade 2, grade 3, possibly an AC joint, and he'll be out for a while, their captain. So that is very unfortunate news to make matters worse for the Bulldogs and their current state of affairs. So
yeah, that's a tough one. Obviously, he's a bit of a standard setter at the club as well, and as their skipper, would have quite an influence out there on the field. So hopefully maybe the scans come back and it's not as bad as what they're seeing.
Greg and Dave listening in from Georgia in Europe. Calm the Riff, 0467920222. Really enjoying ABC Rapids. Just wish I could enjoy my Dragons as much. Cheers, Lizard in Bunbury. Good on you, Lizard. Great to hear from another WA listener out there as well. Thank you to Eamon, who sent another text as well, and get to a few of these I might have missed. And the best coverage of the NRL, sitting at home listening to the ABC and watching the box, travelling to Thailand this week for a month, and we'll have the ABC Sport app all weekend when I'm there. Thanks for being my ABC. Pete the Piston, the Gong. Good on you, Pete. Lovely to hear from you as always. Dan in Brisbane says, does Dylan Edwards not run behind his own play there and a forward pass? Casey McLean just too good though. Yeah, there are a couple of things which I fancy Craig Bellamy will highlight later on, but in the more immediate matters here, they trail by 20 points, and as the Storm make their way out first, it is still within them, certainly within their capabilities, to turn things around here at Western Sydney Stadium. But the Panthers are unbeaten for a reason.
Yeah, look, and the one thing that worked for the Storm in that first half was the offloading. They generated a bit of momentum when they got those offloads and put themselves in a good position. They scored points. But that's not easy to do against the Panthers, is to get that or generate that momentum and get those offloads as regularly as they did. And no doubt that's something that Ivan Cleary had said to the Panthers at halftime, was to lock the ball up, take them to ground and really slow things down and then play it at their pace.
AFL third quarter, Fremantle 63 leads Adelaide 41. It's gone full-time A-League women, Melbourne victory 1, Perth Glory 0. By the way, there was also a lower grade game here. I mentioned the New South Wales Cup, Penrith 40, Melbourne 12. And in case you missed it, Louis gave his 3 best players in that game at Stadium Australia. 3 to Jai Gray, 2 to Tallis Duncan, 1 to Keon Palmatungi in that 33-24 win for Souths over Canterbury Bankstown. 26-6 the scoreline here, with the second half just mere seconds away. Down to Ruan Sims very shortly as Farlongo back in the headgear, kicks us back off, and Penrith to have first use out of that northern end of Western Sydney Stadium with Billy Phillips. As I mentioned, debuted in that game against Canterbury last year in round 26 when they rested their entire team, or entire team bar one I think it was, and he's played every game since. Billy Phillips, his 5th career game. Dummy half Lussick across down to Isaiah Yeo. A strong run where he takes Hetherington with him on the 30-metre line here. He'll play at 35 out from his own line. Tackle 4, blindside left they come as it's fed across to Isaiah Papali'i. Tyler on that left edge here for the Panthers. Play at 6 short of the halfway. Lussick open side right. Edwards skips into a wall of those white Melbourne Storm jerseys. Last play Penrith as Lussick off to Cleary and to set with a high kick downfield. Farlongo launches uncontested. Alamonte gets him on the way down, but it will be Melbourne back on the attack. 25 out, 20 in from the western side. And the Ruan Sims, who actually... I'll wait and give her some more time. I see she's just getting back to her seat now. As 25 out from that southern line here, Harry Grant off to Will Warbrick, and Warbrick is shoved to the turf down there in the tackle of Lussick and Sorensen. Grant flies at right-hand side of the Parkway Teddy. Scored their only try in the first half, the Melbourne Storm. We're inside the first 90 seconds of the second half here, and we'll wrap up Good Friday footy later on in our post-game and look ahead to the rest of round 5 here this Easter long weekend. Wishart tackled 5 short of halfway. Last play Melbourne as Grant finds Hughes, and he kicks for distance down that right edge. It's taken by Jenkins. And Jenkins skips over that 20-metre line, but he's taken down there by Liero. start quickly here for Blaze Talangi. And this time Chan gets him, but Chan got a boot to his head for his troubles. Rumble upfield here, the Penrith Panthers. McLean tackled and plays it now. Lussick across to Edwards. Left to right, they shift it. Low ball here, comes off to Brian To'o. Steps in field there on Mini. Shrugs away Munster. Little judo roll there from Brian To'o as well, before he's claimed just short of the halfway. And now Lussick wastes no time. Off to Isaiah Yo. Offloads back to his fullback Edwards. Tries to find the gap somewhere. Talangi off to Papali. He needs support. Hughes gets in from behind. This is last play Penrith. And at dummy half, it's fed to Talangi. Back now to Phillips. And now Cleary to Edwards. Crossfield bomb from the fullback. To'o competes through the air. Oh, and Brian To'o did exceptionally well in the contest with Tuamulatu Brown. And Brian To'o scores his third try of the year. That was just aerial brilliance. The best ornithologist in the world will study that. Brian To'o scores the try. The very best start to the second half for the Panthers to make it 30 points to 6, kick to come, with only 3.5 minutes so far in this second half.
Oh, that was ridiculous from the Panthers, and I feel like I've got deja vu because the way they started the second half, very similar to the way they started the first half, just in terms of their field position dominance. They just get on the front foot with the ball in hand, but then when they're defending, they strangle the Melbourne Storm for any sort of field position. So they get the ball back, they work their way into attacking territory. And the last play, they sort of run themselves out of options. Blaze Talangi shoots down the short side. The Melbourne defence on the short side did a good job to sort of hem him in. He has to get rid of the ball. It goes back to Cleary. You think Cleary's going to kick it, but the defence is right up in his face. He just dishes it out the back to Dylan Edwards, who comes up with a beautiful crossfield kick under pressure, and Brian To'o does the rest. It's just simply superb from the Panthers, the way that they're able to construct something out of nothing.
Touchline we go, Ruan Sims.
Well, the way To'o leapt and took that ball, you would be forgiven in not knowing that he is actually 11 centimetres shorter than Tuamulatu Brown. He got right up there. He took it nice and cleanly, and he's just formidable in the air. He's got such a solid frame to him. And like Dino said, the start that the Penrith Panthers have had to this second half, it is Groundhog Day.
So Cleary's kicked 21 out and about 8 minutes in from the western side. See if there's any halftime messages from you, Roy, very shortly. Here is Nathan Cleary. Starts at the right-hand side, and it's a perfect kick for goal. Cleary now 4 out of 6, and it's the Panthers 32, the Melbourne Storm 6. Anything doing from either coach at halftime?
Yes, at halftime, unsurprisingly, Ivan Cleary very happy with his team, but also said don't underestimate the Melbourne Storm. Probably surprising for some listeners at home. Craig Bellamy said they weren't doing a lot wrong, and they weren't, but whatever they did do wrong, that's what the Panthers capitalised on. He wanted the Melbourne Storm to make sure that they had really good, strong first contact, stuck their tackles, and then also made sure that they minimised the offloads from the Panthers, because that was killing them.
All right, thanks, Roy. 4.5 gone second half here at Western Sydney Stadium. NRL Friday on ABC Sport on Good Friday. It's a long weekend. It's in another gear. Hopefully they come across Saturday, Sunday and Monday. Lussick dummy half off to Scott Sorensen. Speaking of the Perth Bears, he's off there next year. 4-time premiership winner. At 25 out. It's come off here to the right-hand side and tuck the ball out there is Luke Garner. So by the way, they've used Phillips, Sorensen and Garner off the bench, the Panthers. The Storm have used Alec McDonald, Tyron Wishart and Jack Edmonton. So still one interchange play to be used for either side. Cleary fires the pass here to Alamotti, steps away from Munster. He was far too quick there for McDonald, and now he's taken on halfway by Wishart and also Liero. This is last play Penrith. Blindside right, the kick comes up from Cleary. Tuamulatu Brown does launch this time uncontested, brings it down to Melbourne, and he'll play at 25 out to his own line and 15 in from the western touchline. Mini just goes direct at the line here, takes on Isaiah Yo. Play at 30 out centre field. Failongo off to Warbrick. Warbrick, and the winger only gains half a dozen here. 6 minutes played, second half on ABC Sports. Storm on the attack with a set restart. So ruck infringement given away there by the Panthers. The Storm need more of that, just more general ball across this game. 26 points is that buffer. Wishart play it 5 short of halfway. Grant to the right-hand side. Liero on report in that first half for a hip drop. Sorensen rips him to the turf in concert with Yo and Lussick. From that 40-metre line now, Grant moves the ball right-hand side back to Hetherington. And now it's play 3. Comes back centre field now, Liero. Took on Lussick, offloads back to Harry Grant, Hughes, and now to the dash here of Joe Chan, but Edwards, just big bear hug brings him down. 20 out, 20 in, eastern side. Open side left they come, Munster. The show and go, kicks off the instep, they're chasing it through here. Great work, Donald, who does gobbles out here towards Brian To'o, the game's most recent try scorer. So it was almost there for Melbourne, but alas, Penrith pick it off here and go back on the attack.
Yeah, well, it was a bit of a lash there from Munster. He sees that the fullback's out of position in Dylan Edwards, so thinks there's space in behind. He had to really try and thread the needle on a tough angle. McDonald almost got the ball, but it's what the Storm have to do in the second half. They need to find some opportunities to play football, so they're going to see more of those opportunities.
Panthers 30 out from their own line. Lussick off to Cleary. Early kick on the second last play from inside 40. Doesn't have the angle as it comes down onto the chest of Suafolongo. And by the time he stopped, he's 42 out from his own line. So they've got field position here, the Melbourne Storm, but they still trail by a total of 26 points. 32 plays 6. Folongo sticks the headgear again, which is sort of something he does. And I believe he's tripped over in back play, but more importantly here, Tumalatu Brown is a little slow getting up. So I'm not sure if he cops some untoward contact there from Isaiah Yo. Seeing a replay here. Yeah, it's just sort of it wasn't a shoulder, it was just sort of a loose hanging arm there around the chops on Tumalatu Brown. Penalty Melbourne. So the penalty count in the game, by the way, 32-6 scoreline. Penalty count will be 4-3 Melbourne's way now as Grant taps 25 out, shares it with McDonald, and he'll play it back to his skipper Harry Grant, fires it across to Wishart. Now Yutoi Kamanu. There's Isaiah Yo and the tackle along with Lussick. Now at marker, Grant finds Wishart to Hughes, and now Folongo stops, tries to take on Talangi, and Papali'i in there as well. 8 away, right-hand side of the post, opportunity here for Melbourne. Spun back to Jerome Hughes. Feeds it back here to Liero. 11 out, right-hand side of the post. Play for Melbourne, who trail by a margin of 26 points. Comes to Jerome Hughes. Yutoi Kamanu, a strong run here, but Cleary gets him in concert there with Billy Phillips. It's last play Melbourne. 4 out, left-hand side. And Harry Grant gets it across here. So it'll be a Penrith ball, 5 out from that northern goal line here at Western Sydney Stadium. 9 going second half. It's the Panthers 32, the Storm 6. Touch on we go, Ruan Sims.
Well, this is one for young players at home. The play the ball happens the most throughout the game. It is a skill that you must practice and practice and practice, because when you come to big games and you do silly things like this, they are what we call coach killers.
So, first 10 minutes of this second half, you're with Brett Sprague, Dean Hallertau, Ruan Sims. A couple of World Cup winners with you here on ABC Sport. Doesn't include me, by the way, just gets you away. 5 out from that northern line. Let's come back to Brian To'o and play it in front of those northern uprights. So out in the action now with Jack Cogger, back from concussion. So they've used their entire bench, the Panthers. Cogger, Phillips, Sorensen and Garner, 1-17, their official roster tonight. 32 points to 6 here, they lead the Melbourne Storm. Played by Phillips, Cogger at dummy half, off to Sorensen. Brought down by Yutoi Kamanu. And also out there, Tyron Wishart. Cogger fires it left here for Edwards. Almost made the break there on Liero and co. Back to Cleary. Last play kick. Just wobbles downfield here for Will Warbrick. Awkwardly sort of almost touched him on the way through. He retrieves it 15 out from his own line. Shuts away McLean. Takes on Phillips. Warbrick goes down 30 out. they'll start their next set from there, Melbourne. Come across to Farlongo. Can he inspire them? They trail by a 26-point margin. 32 plays 6 here at Western Sydney Stadium. And now Waitere, only going to about 4 or 5 here before being claimed by Blaze Talangi. Grant on that halfway line. It's coming on the inside, back from Liero to Mini. And Mini backs his way into 3 Penrith Panthers defenders. Metre short of the halfway. Tackle 4 here for Melbourne. Grant early kick from the halfway line. Tries to catch Edwards out of position. But Edwards retrieves it on the bounce here. Takes on Chan and Utoi Kamano at that left edge. And they'll play at 35 out from their own line. The Panthers 32 lead to Melbourne 6 here at Western Sydney Stadium in Parramatta. Played by Jenkins. Back through hands left to right. Cleary on to Brian Toll. Almost busted his way through Utoi Kamano. Will play at 5 short of halfway. Danny Half Potter across to Cleary. Right hand side they come. Shoved wide here to Garner. Received the flick pass from Alamotti. That Garner is put down there by Tumalatu Brown. Second last play Panthers. Alamotti gains 10 of his own metres here. 40 out from Melbourne's line. Cogger fires it left here to Cleary. Up goes the kick. Sets a task to Falongo. In comes Sorensen. And Falongo brings it down comfortably with play 8 out from his own line. Southern end of the ground. Panthers 32, Storm 6. 12 gone second half. NRL Friday on ABC Sport.
Yeah, I mentioned before about the Storm. They need to play football. That's the way they're going to score points, obviously, is to shift it around as much as possible. But when they do move out wide, they see the numbers of the Panthers shoot up and really close off any chance to get the ball out to the wingers. And then, so they cut back, but the inside defence from the Panthers is right up in their face at the same time. It's really hard to find a way through.
Utoi Kamano, centre field run, only going to about 5. He's 35 out into the set here for Melbourne. Munster probing ball downfield and doesn't quite have the 40-20. So it's about a metre shy, I reckon. So yeah, it'll be Penrith's ball 20 out from their own line. Mikey Mackay says Morey swears by Penrith scoring each side of half time. Yeah, well, it's one thing to start a game promisingly, but if you can score a try before and after the break, as Penrith obviously tend to do, yeah, it's just more momentum. 32-6 the scoreline here. 13 go on second half. So, get the wrap from Andrew Moore, Luke Lewis and John Gibbs from Stadium Australia, where earlier South beat Canterbury 32-24. Edwards trying to sway his way here past Utoi Kamano and Munster. Play at tackle 4. Set restart back Penrith, so a full set now, 5 short of the halfway. McDonald tackles Cleary, plays it quickly. Cogger back here again to To'o. Tries to step there on Liero, almost get past him too. Dragged to the ground by Chan and also Harry Grant. 40 out centre field. Cogger across to his captain Yo. And Yo just pushing there off Liero, and Grant came down from behind. Gain of 10 there for Isaiah. 30 out, 20 in from the eastern side. Fed back to Cleary. Low kick on play 4. Falongo gets there, and he's driven back by Garner. And the Storm will go on the attack again. 10 out from their own line. But they still trail 32 points to 6. 14 gone, 26 left in this second half. Touchline we go, Ryan Sims.
Well, one of our listeners wrote in earlier and said the Panthers are offside every tackle 1, 2 and 3. I can tell you, I've got a front row seat to their defence at the moment. They are not offside at all. They have excellent line speed, but the difference is they're winning the tackle, so they buy themselves time.
I trust your instincts and your eyes, Ruan Sims, as always. Here they go, the Storm on the attack, right to left. As it's with Wisher, can't get the ball away. Jaron gone lad, 40 out centre field. Coming back to Hughes, and he kicks down to Jenkins. On that far wing here at Western Sydney Stadium, Jenkins brings it back into the company of Munster and also Liero there to greet him. A couple of Origin players for Queensland. Munster and Liero. 15 gone, 25 left here. Penrith controls the game, controls the second half, 32-6. 26-point margin. Edwards on the treadmill here takes on Grant, but no real sort of gain up through centre field. Alamotti is tackled as well, 5 short of the halfway. There for Cogger. Now back to Cleary. They shift from right to left. Phillips to Talangi. Option out there as McLean goes goes to Jenkins. Steps there on Farlongo and Hughes. 25 out and in from the eastern side. This is last play, Penrith. Cogger picks up a dummy half. Cleary sends a pass back. Jenkins wide. The pass was too hot for McLean. May have been fought anyway. So, either way, it's out for Melbourne ball. So, 16 gone, 24 left in this game. The Panthers 32, the Melbourne Storm 16, Hallertau.
Yeah, well, it's probably one of the first times we haven't seen a pass land in the hands of a player. It goes off the back there of McLean, but it's not a bad spot for the Panthers to turn possession over, because they get themselves set and they just turn their attention to what they've been doing all night, and that's getting off their line quick and really shutting down those shifts or those opportunities that the Storm are looking for.
Storm come back upfield. Really on play 2, 30 out from their own line. Grant off to Alec McDonald. Over the 40 he goes. Sorensen claims him. Grant back to Munster. Hughes dummies a pass here and then stands initially, now put down by Cogger and Yo. 20 in from the eastern side, right on halfway. Munster can't feed the ball back. And he draws the contact there of Sorensen. Last play, Storm. Munster rolls it back there for Grant. To the right-hand side for Hughes. It goes up in the air. Humpalii was tangled up down there with Warbrick, and this ball bounces out over the eastern touchline here. So it'll be Penrith's ball at 20 out from their own line. Fire play the ball, and there is 17 minutes having elapsed in this second half. 23 left in the game. Peter in Hawksnest says another great call. Is Melbourne playing with them? The score. I think that's going a bit beyond them now. You can't, if you're 26 points down, you can't really be playing with a team, can you? 25 out, playing against themselves, it seems at the moment. But Penrith, you can't ignore what a high quality side they are. Cogger dummy half here to Lunny. Into the back of him goes Harry Grant. 7 short of the halfway, 20 in from the eastern side. As we approach the midway part of this second 40, Cleary back to Garner. And Luke Garner signed a recent extension of his contract until 2028. The bench for Penrith. This Cleary makes the break here. Collared by King. Will push the pass back here, but it will come back here for a Penrith penalty.
Yeah, Scott Sorensen was in support there of Nathan Cleary as he made that mini break, and one of the Melbourne Storm had latched on to Sorensen, and there wasn't a lot in the contact, but enough just to slow him up a bit, and it's a penalty, the right call there from Ash Klein.
Yeah, it was Tukamano who grabbed Sorensen while King was grabbing the collar of Cleary. So Tukamano penalised. Penalty count in this game will now be 4-all. 32-6 is the scoreline in Penrith's favour. Alamotti will tap 25 out. Edwards back to Scott Sorensen. 15 out centre field. You get the feeling here, Dino, something is building for the Panthers. Cogger back to Yo. Inside ball to Lindsay Smith. Scored a try last week. Play it 14 out in front of the upright southern end. Comes back here to Sorensen. On to Edwards. Alamotti out wide to the pass was wide and slowed him down. Takes on the line now. Tukamano stops him, so too Munster. He's 7 metres shy, right-hand side of the uprights, play 3 Penrith. Comes to Sorensen, fed back to Isaiah Yo. Now Cleary, they trip the score of numbers left to right now. It's come to McLean, and McLean is tackled 8 metres shy of that goal line deep in the south-eastern corner of Western Sydney Stadium. Papali'i, pretty sorry gap there. Takes on Joe Chan. This will be last play Panthers. Cogger from dummy half. Open side right, Cleary. Off to Sorensen. Flip pass Edwards. Garner burns past one and scores the easiest of tries. Goodness me, that is just pure poetry in motion. Ball movement from the Panthers. 36-6. Kick to come midway through this second half. And Luke Garner, the try scorer.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Spring. It was poetry in motion from the Panthers. And Scott Sorensen, who gets a wide ball. It's a cutout pass to him running almost a lead run, which probably not typical for the Penrith Panthers as well on the last play to get it to an edge-back rower right in the line, but he comes up with a beautiful flick pass out the back. Then it's a quick tip-on from Dylan Edwards to find Garner, as you say, and it's a free passage through to the try line. But what a play there from the Panthers, and in particular Scott Sorensen.
Absolute chef's kiss stuff there. Ruan Sims on the touchline.
It was fantastic. It happened right in front of me, and I couldn't see anything because there were cameras and soundmen right in the way, so I had to watch it on the screen. But watching it back on replay, it was just as beautiful as the first time I saw it. Slick passing, bodies in motion, asking questions of the defence, and constantly pushing up in those spaces. This is an absolute clinic by the Penrith Panthers.
36-6. And now, dare I say it, Dean, we're on 50 watch here. For the store, that's how it sort of feels at this stage. Here's Nathan Cleary, 15 out, very slight angle right-hand side of the post, having kicked 4 from 6 so far tonight. From 26-6 at half-time, it was 5 tries to 1 in the opening 40 minutes. Since then, Brian Toll, Luke Garner, and this to make it 38-6. Still with 19 and a half left. Cleary makes no mistake. So, as I said, Penrith 38, Melbourne 6, the scoreline here at Western Sydney Stadium. And as we roll on here, NRL Friday on ABC Sport. This is not delivering as far as the competitive spectacle we thought we might see between these two sides.
It's not, but, I mean, Penrith are just a class above at the moment. And the Storm haven't done too much wrong with the ball in hand, but they're completing well, as we've spoken about. They just don't have any answers at the moment.
By the way, in the AFL, fourth quarter, Adelaide's in front of Freo, 66-64. Big comeback brewing there. A-League men's second half, Auckland FC and Adelaide United 1-1. So 38-6 here, 19-20 left at Western Sydney Stadium. This is looking like a Penrith carve-up of Melbourne. And I'll get to your text shortly, 0467 920 222. 25 out, 12 in from the eastern side. Papali'i will play it. Edwards tries to weave his way past Cooper Clark. Play it now, 30 out. Big dash from dummy half from Jack Cogger gains 15 metres. Play it there for Sorensen. Goes himself from dummy half over halfway. This is a pass back to Cleary. Needs some support there as he was run down by Mini. 35 out, 20 in, western side. As it comes the right-hand side to Langy. Kicks for the corner. First in there, though, is Wishart, I think, for the Storm underneath all of that. And he'll now, in fact, it's Josh King, the big fellow, play it a couple metres out from his own line, southern end. And Harry Grant is down here hobbling on the halfway line, a long way away from the play. And this is most concerning here for the Storm, who already trail 38 points to 6. Their captain running towards you, Ruan Sims, down the Rouge shortly. 15 out from that southern line. Already played 4, make it 5 now for the Storm as Munster throws a pass wide to Farlongo. And he's only 25 out from his own line at the end of Melbourne's set. 17:50 left second half. Munster will kick from dummy half. Trying to just force Edwards all the way back inside his own 20-metre line. And Edwards goes charging back up through some midfield. Angles his run away from Joe Chan. But he's claimed 35 out, 20 in from the eastern side. 38-6 the scoreline here. So wait for a break in play. Penrith with the game's most recent try scorer and Garner. In fact, it's Jenkins on the left edge. Comes back to Brian Toll. He escapes Utoi Kamanu. Joe Chan hangs on for dear life, and it will be play 3 here for the Panthers. Cogger goes short side left here. Papali'i on to King and Jerome Hughes. Play it there for Casey McLean. Cleary to Smith to Yo. Dummies. Centre field run here. Offloads back to Cleary on the second last. Ball bounce there from Amati. He got away from Tilmato Brown. Kicks here. Chasing his own kick. Wishart bats it dead. But let's head back down to the touchline. Ruan Sims.
Well, Harry Grant went straight up the tunnel. I'll try and get as much information as possible as I can on his injury when it becomes available. But I tell you what, at the moment, I don't know, many people at home might not have heard this term but whenever a break is made, the Panthers just flood that space. There's so many black jerseys in the picture, and they are strangling the Melbourne Storm out of this game.
Phil from Austin there says, "Hi team, always enjoying your calls and comments. If Penrith score 50 points here, they knock out another premiership contender?" Question mark. Yes, the rule of 50 suggests that if you concede 50 points in the game, you can't win the comp. Here's Jenkins. Burns 2-3 tackles, still going 2 metres out. Takes on the defensive line. He's brought down 5 metres shy, right under the black dot. Flat there for the Panthers from the line dropout. Cleary back to Garner, and he's sandwiched between 2 Melbourne defenders there. Flat there for Cogger. 15:50 left. Leota. Good to get the pass out the back, but he's now tackled by Yuto Kamano's opposite number. Play there for Cogger. Across now to Lindsay Smith. Dummies and tries to penetrate that Melbourne line. 5 out left-hand side of the sticks. Cogger again. That left-hand side. Papali'i screwed it. Oh, Isaiah Papali'i. The sure thing there for the pass was just a little bit too hot for him. It remains Penrith 38, Melbourne 6, 15:20 left. Graham from the Gong says, "Great call, team. 3 losses in a row. Does that mean that Bellamy is the next coach sacked? LOL." Yeah, well, he just re-signed recently, didn't he, Craig Bellamy, for another few years, 2028. Yeah, I know he's being silly, but there'll be 3 losses in a row. The Storm, and they host the Warriors at Amy Park next week. And Warriors are a top 4 quality team. So, it'll be interesting. Penrith back on the attack with, beg your pardon, the Storm back on the attack with Warbrick. 28 from that southern line. Now tackled and playing it. Out there is Waitete. Across the left-hand side. Ball's come loose there as, no, it was deemed to be raked by Garner on the Storm attack. So now Munster taps quickly off the back of the penalty. Penalty count will be 5-4 Melbourne's way in this game. And the scoreline remains Penrith 38, the Storm 6. 14:20 left here. You're with Brett Sprigg, Dean Hallertau and Ruan Sims. Harry Grant off the field to the Melbourne Storm, went straight the tunnel with some sort of leg injury. Played here by Danny Muali, so he's the 4th interchange player used for the Storm. Got a dummy half. Wishart waits, shares the pass to Munster, off to Jerome Hughes. Now Falongo, too quick for Jenkins, makes his break to the corner, and the fullback scores for Melbourne. Sua Falongo scores a try, which will be, you would think, all in consolation. 38-10, kick to come Storm with 13:40 left on the clock.
Yeah, and I think this will disappoint the Panthers. We spoke about their defensive record so far this season. They don't want to obviously concede any more points to ruin that, but it was a nice shift to the right from the Storm. It's the first time they've got that opportunity out the back and had space enough for Falongo to carve through. He sums it up well. It's a 3-on-2 on the edge anyway, but it's got enough pace to get through. Outruns Dylan Edwards to the corner and gives the Storm a little bit of bright spark for this second half.
Back to the touchline, Ruan Sims.
I was just down there just hunting for some information on Harry Grant, so I didn't get to see the play leading up to that. But some information for you guys on his injury. It appears to be a contact injury to the knee of Harry Grant. He wants to return to the fray, but obviously being behind by this much with only just under 13 minutes left on the clock, I feel like they're going to keep their powder dry on that one. And also we've got a crowd figure, 20,204 turned up today.
Okay, thank you, Roo. Here's Nick Meaney. He kicks from 22 out on the eastern sideline and misses near side. So 20,000 here for the Panthers against the Melbourne Storm. And Nick Meaney fails to convert that sideline conversion. So it remains Penrith 38, the Melbourne Storm 10, and Nick Meaney 1 from 2 here at Western Sydney Stadium this evening. 0467 920 222. Brett in Ipswich says, I think Craig is beyond losing at this point. I don't blame him. Peter from Hawksnest says it will be a Penrith v Melbourne grand final. We've hoped for a better contest than this. Harry Grant's just come back out of the sheds here, and as Roo said, a contact injury to the knee. He's keen to return. The Storm weighing up whether it's all really worth it. They'll host the Warriors Warriors at Melbourne Park next week. Panthers away to the Bulldogs in Stadium Australia on Thursday night to start round 6. And of course, the Doggies have plenty of their own problems. The Panthers will be rightly favoured to be, sixons in by a couple of weeks' time. Back to the kick-off here. Danny Mawali is off to Manly next year. South Sydney Rabbitoh and Cook Islands International. Shift from right to left here, the Melbourne Storm. Tackled down there, Cooper Clark. Dummy half Wishart. Feeds it back to Josh King. Straightens his run here, takes on Yo. Ball's come loose, but
trying to pass the ball.
Ash Klein saying, yeah, okay, so we'll reset them here on play 4. Wishart back across to Mawali, and now Jerome Hughes tackled by Luke Garner. 40 out from that southern end. 11:40 left in this second half. Panthers 38, Storm 10. Last play, kick a high spiralling ball from Munster. Edwards catches the high ball here and goes up through centre field before Kamano and Joe Chan claim him 35 out from his own line.
Yeah, big high kick there from Munster. Didn't swirl around too much, even though he got plenty of height. There was a bit of an awkward shape to it as he was going through the air, but for Dylan Edwards at the back, it was pretty comfortable, and he's immediately on the front foot. The Panthers regaining themselves.
So, here go the Panthers on halfway. It's come to Edwards, off to Cleary, no look past to Martin. He scored the first try of the game, but he's run down from behind by Munster, and up in front Meany. Tackled the second last here for the Panthers. Cleary. It's come off the, no, it wasn't off the defensive line, it's come off to Langy, but backwards, and now McLean, now he's lost it. Backwards though, picked up by Melbourne, up goes Warbrick. Desperate chase though from Cleary. That's his superb defence in the 70th minute to run a guy down around the legs as Cleary did there. Only on the halfway line too. Despite this game being in their keeping. They trot across field here through Falungo, the Storm. Play 2, it's come to Munster. Inside ball, Yatoi Kamano. And he can't get the arm free for an offload here as Smith and Yo wrap him up. 22 out centre field here for Melbourne. Wishart to the left-hand side now. Munster will show and go here. Back to the left, now the right. And he stands in the tackle of Edwards, who tumbles to ground. Munster will play it 12 out left-hand side of the sticks. It's come across here to King, and now the kick from Jerome Hughes. Meany bursts through, so too Warbrick's lost it. In fact, it's Joe Chan who's lost it into the path of Penrith, who get back in the field of play. Ash Klein saying, yeah, hang on. So he's just saying it's going to be a Penrith scrum off the back of that knock on there, just shy of the in goal. So, yeah, no advantage there for the Panthers. Big divot as well, taken off that goal line at the northern end.
There was a question there, I think, from David Miley around whether or not he was hit as he was trying to get the ball. Before he was trying to get the ball there, Joe Chan, but referee Ashley Klein thought it was simultaneous, and it's a mistake, so the scrum to the Panthers.
9:20 left in this game as it's through a hot pair of hands. Cleary to Edwards, and play at 10 out from their own line here. Cleary at dummy half, across to Brian To'o, who have just joined us. Harry Grant off the field for the Melbourne Storm with a knee injury. As Penrith rumble upfield again. Cogger off to Moses Leota. 8:55 left in this game of footy on Good Friday. Hope your Easter weekend's going well so far. Easter long weekend. Yo, back to Martin, and he's chased and collared there by Nick Meany. 38-10 the scoreline here. Penrith leads Melbourne. They come left-hand side, blindside right now. Through hands, back to Toll, back to Nathan Cleary. Edwards standing up on the inside, receives the pass, and slides in next to the posts. More pain for Melbourne. The Panthers 42, the Storm 10. Kick to come, Penrith.
Well, as soon as you see Nathan Cleary head down that short side, they had the momentum of a quick play the ball. They had a retreating defensive line, and he had options on the outside. He gets a really good pass from dummy half. It's 3 on 2, I should say, on the edge. The A defender for the Storm's not getting to Nathan Cleary quick enough, so he just picks his option. It's a cut-out pass all the way to the wing for Brian To'o, who just returned back to the middle of the field, doing what he does normally, and that's that early set carry. But he's still got plenty of energy. He outpaces the chasing defence and then throws a really nice pass back on the inside to Cleary. And then Dylan Edwards, like a good fullback, through the middle to finish things off and just show again how good the Panthers are.
Touch time to go, Ruan Sims.
Well, it was beautiful short side play, and it was made by the fact that Nathan Cleary stayed really square when he took him to the line. He didn't actually try and take any of the space off his outside attackers. Brian To'o kept his space beautifully. The pass back on the inside, a little sketchy when I watch it back on replay from the high angle, but it's all history now, and it was a beautiful amount of movement there by the Penrith Panthers.
Now, I mentioned this on the watch on the 50 points thing. Forget the little hoodoo. The Storm haven't given up 50 points in a game since 2003.
Wow.
Is what I'm seeing here. I think that's correct. I'll double check all that. But that is, that I think Bellamy's first year. It's 42-10. Could be 44-10 here. Cleary is 17 metres out, 20 in from the western side. With 7 minutes left. And no one saw this coming. This has been an absolute carve-up from the dominant Panthers. Cleary. His sixth successful conversion tonight, 6 out of 8. It is Penrith 44, the Melbourne Storm 10. So either way, that'd be one of their biggest points conceded in any game under Craig Bellamy tonight. 44 points and counting.
I think no one probably seen this coming, but maybe people feared that this would happen. And as you said off the top, the Storm are a team that have been so successful and are one of the best teams in the comp. And if they can't get close to the Penrith Panthers, it kind of makes you think, what hope is anyone else?
Scary, absolutely scary what the Panthers could do the rest of the competition. 7 minutes left. Storm kickers back off. Talangi back to Lindsay Smith. Hits it up off that wall of white Melbourne Storm jerseys. 12 out, all in the Western Sydney Stadium. He stepped in front of the ruck there, Lindsay Smith. He's just coming and reset him match point. So, 6:40 left. And it's here for Luke Garner. He's among their try scorers. So, 8 tries to 2. Edwards having scored the most recent one. Left-hand side of the park they go. Knocked back down there.
Double knock on, first off Penrith.
Here there from Ash Klein. Melbourne Storm scrum feed, 30 out from that northern end of Western Sydney Stadium. By the way, A-League men full-time. Adelaide and Auckland finished 1-1. Side AFL game fourth quarter. Adelaide Crows 74, leads Fremantle 71. It says here 3 times in their history they've conceded 50 points to Melbourne Storm. And those are 2000, 2001 and 2003. So that is interesting, to say the least. Munster, 35 out centre field. Played here, Cluck shoves away Freddie Lussick. Set restart Melbourne as Ash Klein waves the fist. 22 out, they'll play it. Wishart, back to McDonald. Angled run here on Talangi and also Yo. Play it 15 away, right-hand side of the uprights. They come back open side left. Hughes to Munster. Wrapped up by Liotta. 5:20 left in this game of footy. Heavyweight battle here, which is been unanimous points, almost knockout stuff. Use the boxing analogy in Penrith's favour. 44-10. Melbourne here on this second last play. Short side right. Wishart dummies himself and he's held up in goal.
Held up, it's the last tackle. Byron, take it out, Tim.
So 4:57 left now. Dino still 44-10.
Yeah, and again, just a show of the defence there from the Penrith Panthers. And Dylan Edwards, who was in behind the ruck, he was sort of shadowing over to the short side. He's seen the quick play of the ball, but he just got himself right under Wishart.
So Hughes kicks wide to the corner. Jenkins takes it out of the air and tries to streak away, but he's wrapped up down there by Chan. He'll play it 20 out. McLean and Talangi combine. Coming across through centre field. Playing it there is Casey McLean. 25 out. Back to Cogger. Left to right, they shift it. Brian To'o. Takes on Mini. Also in there, Munster and Mawali as well to make the tackle. 30 out, 10 in, western side. Penrith leads 44-10 here against the Melbourne Storm. 4 minutes and 15 seconds left. Set restart Penrith. 8 tries to 2 so far. Still time for a 9th. Leota tackled 5 short of the halfway. Play it there for Lussick, cross to Yo, and now Lindsay Smith. Melbourne's defence, Wilting, go at the left edge. He got away from Falongo, needs some support. He's collected by Wishart. 35 out, 20 in, eastern side. 3:50 left here. Penrith on play 3. Yo, off Leota, makes the break, feeds it back here. Kick forward by Cogger, onto it now. Falongo gets there first and bats it dead and prevents Penrith's 9th try. It remains 44-10, 3.5 left. Ruan Sims on the touchline.
Well, I've just been away lining up some interviews for post-game, and I'm sure you've already picked it up. You just called that man's name, Jack Cogger. He's playing in the halves. Nathan Cleary has earned himself an early mark for a stellar performance.
So, 3:15 left. Short drop out Melbourne. Jenkins flies through and pushes his way past some flimsy Melbourne defence. 48-10. Jenkins with his second try. His 12th on the season so far. The Penrith party time continues. 20,000 here. And this carver of the Melbourne Storm continues.
Well, Tom Jenkins, he's always willing to get in position. He's a very good winger positionally, but he sees the short drop out. He just charges towards the Melbourne players that are coming at it, and he's almost untouched in the air. He just commits to it better. I mean, they're going to review whether it gets to the 10. I think it does live, and Ashcline was in a great spot as it looks to go straight across the line as Jenkins timed his run perfectly. Didn't leave it the chance, and then he scoops the ball up, as you said, straight past some flimsy defenders, and gives his team a chance at notching up the 50.
Back to the touchline, Ruan Sims.
Well, the ball just has to cross the plane of that 10-metre line, and it did it with a blade of grass to spare. It was a beautifully timed run and leap, and I think he even took out Isaiah Yo on the way through. That's how much he wanted it. It was AFL style in the mark, the way he went up for that football. And you're just having a look here at the replay of the bench. Nathan Cleary was pretty happy with that one.
So, 3 minutes and 5 seconds left. So it's Alamotti out there kicking for the Panthers. And with this, he could inflict the indignity on the Melbourne Storm of the 50-point scoreline. He's 17 out, 17 in eastern side to make it 50 points to 10. Off it goes. The Panthers can raise the bat. They have demolished the Melbourne Storm, still with 2:43 left. That is, as far as I can tell, a 23-year first. The first time since 2003 that Craig Bellamy's mighty Melbourne Storm have conceded 50 points in the game of football.
Unbelievable, Spriggy. And look, we started the game thinking that this was going to be such a tight contest with big moments. The Storm has just been completely outplayed. It's going to be interesting to see what Craig Bellamy thinks of their performance tonight.
Got some idea. 2:40 left. Kick off down towards that northern end. Smith will bring it back. How many times can you just describe Penrith's dominance? It is extraordinary. 5 and zip tonight. They've got the vulnerable Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs next week, who'll be without Stephen Crichton for quite some time, and are themselves down on confidence. 1-on-1 still here. Hughes wins it back, and he's down slow getting up. Maybe some, he's sort of clutching his upper right arm, Jerome Hughes. Meanwhile, Josh King rolls upfield. 20 out centre field. 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. Munster hooks it back on the inside out of McDonald. Takes on Leota and also Smith. 13 out centre field now for the Melbourne Storm play 2, make it 3. Munster shows it to the defensive line here and sends it wide. And tackle ball and all is Daddy Mawali. Comes back open side left to Hughes. Kick comes in from Munster. Edwards there first. Great work as he tumbles in the in-goal area and forces a line dropout. Minute 40 left in the game. The Panthers 50, the Melbourne Storm 10.
Just looking at Jerome Hughes, and he's clutching at his shoulder and his chest. So I'm not too sure what the injury is, but we know he's had some dramas with that shoulder of his.
We're seeing shots of Craig Bellamy on the big screen now. The crowd's cheering. A rather dejected figure, Craig Bellamy. Mind you, it's a long game. It's early in the season, and the Storm will be back there again, I'm sure. Warbrick leaps, takes a short line drop out. Still at the ball now, 12 out from Penrith's line. There's the first gain of 5 or 6 metres there from Nabi Mawali. Played 5 out right-hand side of the uprights. Hughes shares the pass to Alec McDonald. Tries to burrow his way through there. It's play for Melbourne. Pass comes to Jerome Hughes, lost by Munster, backwards, passed on by Farlongo, but Panthers get there first. Ash Klein saying it was knocked on. He's saying Penrith knock on, Melbourne scrum, 20 out from that northern line.
Yeah, Liam Martin hit it down on the way through, so there mustn't have been a knock on from the Storm in the first instance.
Panthers 50, Storm 10.
Let's go.
9 tries to 2, so they'll feed the scrum here. 15 out from that northern line, 10 in from the western side as the seconds tick down. Open side right they come. Wishart to Munster to Hughes. Farlongo runs away here. Waitele dummies. Wrapped up by McLean. And he meets his demise deep in that northeastern corner. And the Penrith Panthers have delivered a biblical beatdown on the Melbourne Storm on Easter weekend. 50 points to 10. If there wasn't 20,000 witnesses, you could barely believe it. It is an historically bad defensive performance of the Melbourne Storm, but the Panthers underline their dominance, their perfection through 5 rounds. Undefeated still, they win here 50 points to 10.
Yeah, well, what a huge performance from the Penrith Panthers, as you say, Spriggy. And you know, we came into this match with high expectations, wondered about the Storm, and obviously 2 losses in a row. Thought they may be able to bounce back, but the Panthers just didn't even give them a look in. From the opening whistle all the way through to the 80th minute, the Panthers were looking for opportunities, and they capitalised when they presented themselves. And to a man, they were good across the park from 1 to 17. You know, they put in those performances that you come to expect from the Panthers, but you think that the Storm are going to be the team that really jumps up. And we spoke about that towards the end there, about what this means to the rest of the competition when you see a team like the Storm get absolutely demolished the way that they have tonight. And you're right, they will bounce back this year. The Storm, they're too good a team not to, but they've just got a gap put on them far too easily, and the Panthers are scary good at the moment.
We thought the storyline might be 3 straight losses, but it was how they lost tonight. Yeah. 50 points to 10, and Harry Grant, one of their wounded soldiers, we'll get more information maybe on him post-game. He's hobbling out there to join the handshake line here. We'll get plenty of reaction downstairs from Ruan Sims, and your text remain welcome, 0467 920 222, as we wind up Good Friday of footy here, NRL Friday on ABC Sport. 50 points to 10, the Panthers, who summoned the Storm now to 2 and 3, and of course the Panthers just flexed their muscle with a 23-year first. The Storm concede 50, and the co-captain for the Panthers is with you, Ruan Sims.
Yes, thank you very much. I've got Isaiah Yeo with me. You always knew coming into today it was going to be a tough game, but did you think it put 50 points on the Melbourne Storm?
No, certainly not. We're obviously a team with a lot of confidence at the moment, confidence in our system, but I just thought the only focus was to start well. I thought we did that tonight. They probably set up our game a little bit. We had a little patch in the first half, which is my undoing, a sort of bad penalty, a 6 again on a tackle 5, put us under a little bit of pressure. But I thought other than that, I thought we were in control most of the game. So scored some wonderful tries, and it's not too often you do that against a side like that. So yeah, really proud, still things to work on. So looking forward to what the future holds.
And the attack is always something that gets spoken about time and time again. But your defensive system is actually what impresses me the most, and the way that you transition between the two.
Yeah, I thought that was probably our best part of our performance tonight. I thought that our kick chase, the way we had to sort of put him in uncomfortable positions, and then I thought the way we reacted to that was really good. So certainly not the finished product, but really proud with how we were able to sort of particularly put some pressure on them at times. So really nice.
And did you know that Scotty Sorensen had that kind of a flick pass in him?
I'm sure he's done it once before. It might have been last year or the year before, so it was probably a pace. He certainly got it in him. We just don't see it enough, but it was outstanding.
Well, you guys are flying high at the moment, and if I can rewind 12 months ago, it's a very different story, but the lessons that you learned in that period, I feel like it's pretty much stood you guys in good stead for this year.
Yeah, I felt like we hadn't had a period like that of adversity for the best part of 5 or 6 years, so sometimes you've got to go through the fire to come out the other side of it, and we certainly learned some lessons, but it's one thing sort of having to deal with that sort of stuff. It's another thing learning lessons from it. I thought we've done that. We did that for the most part of the second half of last year, but fell short in a prelim, and I think there was lessons to learn from that as well. Had a really good pre-season and setting itself for the start of the year really nicely. So, look, I can't tell you what the future holds. I still feel like we're chasing our best 80-minute performance, but that was certainly close tonight.
That's absolutely scary. I can't wait to see it.
Me too. All right, thank you.
Isaiah Yo there with our own Ruan Sims. That is scary to think that there's still some improvement left in the Penrith Panthers.
Yeah, a couple of things said at the end there. Obviously, we're still chasing our best 80-minute performance, I should say, and we're not the finished product. Away from that, because they've certainly applied those, no doubt, through their preparation in the season for the season, and it's paying dividends at the moment.
It's like they've taken it personally, being non-grand finalists last year. That was just so far beneath them. They came close as well, as we said, but they're back in a massive way. As we'll get some more reaction from downstairs shortly. 9 tries to 2 and 50 points to 10, the full-time score here. It is the first time since Craig Bellamy's first year in charge, 2003, the Storm conceded 50. It was the 5th time in their history.
Yeah, and when I say before about wonder what Craig's going to have to say, obviously he's going to be very disappointed in his team's performance, but it's maybe what he says about the Panthers and how good they are.
Can we get back down to you, Roo?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I've got Brian To'o with me. He's going to, I need to let go of him pretty quickly. But Brian, that was a pretty great performance. Everybody stood up and everybody executed their roles really well tonight.
Yeah, I think it's a big thanks to the fans. I think they really helped us drive this game, and obviously it was definitely a tough competition up against Storms. You know, they're always a quality side, and it's always a mad challenge going up against them. And really happy with the results. And
I was just chatting to Isaiah Yo, and he said that your guys' best performance, best 80 minutes is still ahead of you. That's scary.
Yeah, 100%. You know, week in, week out, we just come into training to look to get better every day. So, it starts tomorrow with recovery, and we'll go again next week.
The youngsters that you guys blooded last year, they're really stepping up to the plate this year, aren't they?
100%. You know, they're the ones that are obviously showing what they got. You know, there's a reason why they're in the team, and the reason why they're doing so well is because, it's not through the talent, it's through hard work. So, all credit to those boys.
Appreciate your time, Brian. Go and enjoy that win.
Brian Toll there with Ruan Sims, and he's just getting ready for their prayer circle or hymn circle that the players will all sing together in the middle of Western Sydney Stadium. Let's see if we can get back down to you, Ruan Sims.
Oh, look at this. I've got 2 victorious Penrith Panthers with me. One, Scotty Sorensen, who's blowing off the ABC tomorrow, but don't worry about it. It's all right. And Tommy Jenkins here with me. First of all, did you think that Scotty Sorensen had that kind of a flick pass in him?
Yeah, he tries to do it all the time at training. I don't know if it comes up that often, but it worked a treat tonight, so I'm happy with it.
It certainly did. And, Scotty, you have to admit, when you watch Tommy fly through the air and put himself in positions to be able to take the ball, just as it crosses the 10-metre line, you've got to marvel at the talent of these youngsters.
It's so, it's awesome to watch. But, at the end of the day, he's putting the work in. He's working hard at training, and he's reaping the rewards on the weekend, and he's just backing himself, and it's awesome to see and love to be a part of it.
I tell you what else I love. Every time that there's a break made, you guys flood that space. There's more black jerseys in the picture than there are opposition jerseys. Is that something you work on at training, or is that just a mindset?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just important to keep rolling with the play, putting yourself in a position to be able to make a play. I know our halves and our spine's really good at it, but I thought tonight, especially our forwards, they're pushing on each other. As you said, when Moss went through, Cogs almost scored. So it's that type of stuff. That's really important that not many people will understand.
And the standard that you guys set for yourselves and each other is really important, and it's driven by the whole squad. It's not just the players who take the field on game night, and especially bench players. I think it's so important. That rotation is incredible, especially as you come towards the back end of a season.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think it's probably well documented now that, we spoke about accountability at the back end of last year, and obviously a little bit disappointing. So it's nice that, we're working hard and keeping each other accountable and being able to put that here on the field. But, again, it's just back to training and back to hard work, and, we can bring it out on the field afterwards.
Well, you get a chance to do it all again next week, but guess what? You guys put 50 on the Storm.
Yeah, it's obviously pretty cool, but it's saying that on their night, they're the team to beat, so it's really good.
Thanks for your time, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Multitasking, Ruan Sims with Scott Sorensen and Tom Jenkins. Great stuff, Roo. And I don't know how hard up we'll be getting any reaction from the Melbourne Storm, but try your best. Otherwise, join us up here for the post-game show in just a few moments. 0467 920 222. Tom Jenkins, who we heard from, scored a try in either half. Liam Martin, Freddie Lussick, Nathan Cleary, Casey McLean also scored first half tries. Brian To'o, Luke Garner and Dylan Edwards crossed in the second 40 as well. 9 tries to 2 all up. Nathan Cleary converting 6 out of 8. Alamotti with the extra conversion there to bring up the 50, and that was because the Storm scored just those 2 tries. Manaia Watara in the 14th minute, Suafalongo in the 66th, and Nick Meaney with just the 1 successful conversion. 50 points to 10, the full-time score here. Penrith over Melbourne. So stay with us and we'll recap the earlier game as well. A win for Souths over Canterbury Bankstown, and your texts are welcome. 0467 920 222. By the way, full-time in the AFL, Fremantle 78 have beaten Adelaide 76. A-League men full-time, Adelaide and Auckland were played out a 1-1 draw. We'll recap the other around the grounds, including the lower grades and Super Rugby earlier as well here at Western Sydney Stadium. What a win for the Penrith Panthers. So my question then to you, Dean Hallertau, in fact, before we get your 3 best players, I'll just go through a few stats. 55% possession for the Panthers across the game. Was as high as 65 at one stage in that first half. Completions fell away for the home side, but the work was done really in that first half. So 86% completion rate for them in the end, down from that 95, I think it was at half time. 94% across the game for the Storm. So again, it wasn't handling errors their issue by any means, though they had far less of the ball. The Panthers had about 780 more run metres across the game.
That's huge.
10 line breaks to 2. I'll go through a few individual stats later when I can as well, but line breaks 10 to 2. Tackle breaks were plus 17 the Panthers' way. They had more set distance, faster line speed overall, offloads 11 to 5. Penalty count finished up 5 for Melbourne. Ruck infringements went 5 for the Panthers. Just the one report made, Trent Loiero for a hip drop on Dylan Edwards in the first half. 50 to 10, the full-time score here. I mentioned a few of those player stats. So what did I say about Dylan Edwards, who finished with... where is he here, Dylan Edwards? Dylan Edwards had a total of 235 run metres across the game. Thomas Jenkins, 244 run metres with a couple of line breaks, those 2 tries. And Casey McLean, 182. Brian To'o, 194. That is just, we spoke about the battle of the middles. Nathan Cleary himself at halfback, running for 140 metres as well across the game, scoring a try himself. I mean, that is just, it's, that they've beaten them for pace.
Yeah, they have. And that chasm that you spoke about, 780 odd difference in running meters, is a huge mountain to climb for the Storm. So it's any wonder the Panthers enjoyed so much good field position, were able to put 50 points on when that's in your favour. The other stats you mentioned, like the high completion rate for the Storm, if you look statistically at the Storm and you remove the Penrith side of things, it doesn't look too bad. 36 missed tackles, 14 ineffectives is not a good standard for a top 4 side that Craig Belly will focus focus on that. But their inability to shut down points from the Panthers is something that he'd be worried about. But again, it's just how good the Panthers are. And the meters you mentioned from those guys, the outside backs, the work that they do coming out of their own end, is just enormous. It provides such a good platform for their go forward and for their good ball possession, which is what any team wants, is to be able to play in good field position and play their set plays and experience some joy, which is what the Panthers did. And they got long range tries as well.
0467920222. Michael from Canberra says, teams out, Melbourne and the Dolphins. Teams still in, St George and Manly. Not the result I expected this week. Michael from Canberra. Yeah, no one saw this coming. Billy driving a taxi in Brisbane says, if this had been a boxing match, the ref would have stopped the fight. It's just not the kind of performance you expect from Melbourne. And it's a complex thing, because it wasn't like they were, just beaten in every single department across the night, but it's still 50 points to 10. So what more can you say?
They couldn't stop tries. That was as simple as it was, and the Panthers just executed. Loved the chats that Rowan had after the game with the players. They, in no way do they think they're a completed product, and they continue to want to get better every week. And the mindset is, we won this game by 50, and Tom Jenkins is a young guy who you put that to, Rowan. He just flat batted it and just said, well, yeah, that's nice, but we've got work to do still.
Welcome back, Ruth.
Thank you. Yeah, and you know what was really nice? It wasn't an affectation either. It wasn't just a line. You could tell by when I was speaking to him and Isaiah Yeo, it's not just a line that they trot out. It's what they truly believe, and they know that. So that's why it's scary, because I can see the determination and intent on their faces when they speak about that. And it's scary for the opposition, but exciting for me as a mad frother that loves football. It's exciting to see how this team can manipulate and move themselves.
We spoke about that with Nathan Cleary before the game. What makes Nathan so good? And that's that desire to continue to improve, and it's a theme for their entire club.
Peter says, don't be too smug. There is a storm coming. Mark my words. Yeah, you can't write them off, even with the 50-point anomaly that seems to be, or a rule that seems to be, a thing. But they meet again round 25 in Melbourne, Storm v Panthers, and that will be a night for a response. I mean, the response has to come next week, let's face it. They've lost 3 in a row.
Yep.
They've got the Warriors at Amy Park next week, who will be a tough task at the moment wherever they play. But I've got a feeling that round 25 game against Penrith will be time for a statement.
Yeah, tough game against the Warriors next week, but I think well timed to go home and get a game there. Obviously, they were away last week up against the Cowboys, and we know that's a tough road trip in those conditions, and to get beat up there, be in Sydney, get absolutely smashed is a tough one.
Warriors at home, Canberra away, Souths at home in Melbourne, and then Dolphins at Lang Park there next month for the Storm. So that's how it all looks for Craig Bellamy's men. 0467920222. Is it just me, or is Munster a less effective attacking threat these days, says Nick in Melbourne? Doesn't seem as dangerous and doesn't seem to have that edge and the impact on games that he used to.
I disagree. No, I disagree. I think nobody on that Melbourne Storm played to the best of their abilities tonight, because the Panthers did not allow them any kind of breathing space to be able to play their kind of football. Even Farlongo, who is an incredible threat, was hamstrung.
He got one.
He got one.
And it was
20 metres out. It wasn't the spectacular things that we normally see him doing.
And a misread from McLean. He came in tight and created the space, but there wasn't opportunities there.
Even Jerome Hughes, who has been such a dominant half in the game, wasn't able to get into it. And Harry Grant, who is an incredible number 9, wasn't able to get into the game, because that's just what the Panthers do. They just deprive you of the oxygen that you need to play the best football you can.
Another text here is Tom Jenkins, the most improved player in the NRL. Meteoric rise as he qualified for New South Wales or Queensland. Yeah, he's a New South Wales from the arena. He's a young cherry picker, I think.
Yeah.
Tom Jenkins. So there you go. The man they call Milky. 12 tries on the year with 2 more tonight. So unbelievable.
That's 5 rounds of football. Yeah. That's crazy.
Alex Johnson's record. It's this
that
one
is
anyway.
Such a strike
He's on track. Pete in Ride says, I remember the Bunnies beating the Storm 41-14 at the Sydney Football Stadium in 2003. It was very exciting. I'm just not used to seeing it happen. 23 years since they last put up 50 or had 50 put on them. That was Craig Bellamy's first year in charge. Stephen Concord says, Panthers are so dominant they would beat anyone tonight. I'm already thinking to avoid watching their one-sided games in future. No contest. It's sort of depressing. Cheers, Stephen Concord.
I have to disagree.
No, you're big on this, aren't you? Seeing the great teams do great things.
Yes, I really am, because it just shows you what the game is capable of being and what it's capable of looking like. Like, yes, it sometimes can seem like a bit of a bore, but every try that they scored was really well constructed, either through engineered construction, like plays and set pieces and structure, or just by the sheer fact of their fitness and their ability to turn defence into attack.
The challenge is for other teams to step up to that standard. And I guarantee you that other coaches and high performance units are thinking about what it is that Penrith do to remain as up and as intense in games as they do, and they're trying to implement that through their training programs, through their pre-seasons, and you're seeing bits and pieces of it come through with teams that look fitter, play for longer intense periods. They've just got a bit of ground to cover.
I tell you, they do have a little bit of a strike weapon. So there is somebody who works with them. His name is Dan Hainsler. And he is a mindset coach, right? He came and did some work with our New South Wales Women's Origin a couple of years ago. And his approach to a sports mindset is phenomenal. And you can hear, like you heard through those interviews, how they're all very grounded, very level, but also recognising what they've achieved, but understanding there's still more work to be done. He is critical in employing that across the organisation, as is Ivan Cleary for bringing him in and buying into that thought process, and everybody's on board. So that just goes to show you that you can have all the skills in the world, you can be the best skillful team, but skills is more than just what you physically put out on the field. It is a lot of a mental game, and sometimes that can be the edge.
I mentioned, by the way, the recent form line head-to-head. So Melbourne had won 4 out of the previous 5, the exception being the 2024 Grand Final. Of course, they turned the title on that tonight. The Panthers with that win, 50-10. 0467920222. Phil says, I'm still stunned pretty much from kickoff. Storm's days are numbered. There's a change in the 8 this year, folks. I can't agree with that. Storm are still a finals team, if not a top 4 team. I don't think they'll fall away and be mediocre just because of one result tonight. Craig Bellamy will guarantee it. But yeah, we still marvel at this result and how good Penrith are. But I can't see Melbourne falling away now because of this a bad few weeks.
No, if anything, I feel like it would galvanise them into some reaction. And as I was on my way back up here, I actually was waiting for the lifts, and Craig Bellamy and his staff were walking out, and it was very focused. The energy was a very focused energy, so I think he'll have a lot to say.
Harry Grant, you mentioned that he was keen to get back out there, but they'll obviously sort of assess and took some caution late in the game tonight with that knee injury.
Yeah, so there'll be more information after they obviously check it out a little bit more thoroughly. He was adamant he wanted to go back out there, and every good captain would say that because they want to. However, I would agree with the performance staff in keeping him back because the game was gone. They do need to get back on that horse and get a win under their belt, and having a week of recovery leading up to it without putting it through any extra stress tonight is probably the right call.
Speaking of number 9s, Freddie Lussick was...
wasn't he great?
Like, he's been a solid first grader for a while now, obviously spending time at the Roosters and the Warriors, and Mitch Kenny's been one of their mainstays as a gun. Mitch Kenny's just services spot on, work rate really high, but Freddie Lussick had some really good touches, got his try, good kicking game, good kick chase.
Early.
Yeah, he just looked really comfortable out there, and maybe it's the jersey. He put it on and he's just gone again to another level.
Yeah, you know what who he reminds me of is this evolution that we've seen in Tanner Boyd.
Yes.
The same sort of evolution in both of these players, and I think that's so exciting for two journeymen who've jumped around a few clubs to find their space and to really start to excel. It's great to see.
It's always the blonde guys. Tom Jenkins. Anyway.
I love that nickname.
50 points to 10.
Hilarious.
Milky. Who are your 3 best then, Dean Hallertau, and the ABC Player of the Year?
Well, speaking of, I'm going to give 1 point to Thomas Jenkins. I thought, his positioning and his just willingness to put himself where he needs to be and a couple of tries is a really good performance. 244 running metres as well to go with that. 2 points I'm going to Dylan Edwards. He is as safe as ever at the back, but he's looking to involve himself on both sides of the ball as much as possible. He's super safe as a defender. defensive fullback, but with the ball in hand, he was great. 235 running metres, as you pulled out before, Spriggy. But then for my 3 points, I'm going Nathan Cleary. I just thought, you know, their game is just structured around what he provides in terms of his direction, and Ryan's doing the puppeting gesture there because that's what he is. He's just a guy that knows how to get his team around the park, what his players provide for him, and he did that, you know, as well as ever tonight, and you know, had 139 running metres for a halfback, which is amazing, and he was flawless.
3 for Nathan Cleary, 2 for Dylan Edwards, and 1 to Tom Jenkins in the ABC Player of the Year. It's Nathan Cleary's 200th game next week against Canterbury, so it'll be at Stadium Australia Thursday night to start round 6. By this stage, they'll have 3 or 4 weeks off in round 25, 6, 7. But the gap between they and the rest of the comp will be immense by then at this rate anyway. But of course, it's a long season.
So you're going to suggest a change to the format of the finals, are you?
No, I don't care about that. Well, it's you don't like to see it that much, but if you earn the right to do it, you earn the right to do it. Go to the ABC, says Chris in Eastwood. No commercial barrows to push, just great people calling real footy. Maybe less MC as he's too focused on AFL, says Chris in Eastwood. Can't get enough. Michael Carianis.
You know what I didn't hear? I didn't hear less ornithology, please.
That's right. No, people want more ornithology. Talking about bird watchers. Mitch Kenny back next week as well. It's 1 week.
Did you like my thought process at half time?
I love all your thought process.
It felt like it fell flat.
Robin Newcastle says, has anyone won the comp after being beat by 50 points? No, that's the whole idea. Well, conceding 50 points at least. No teams on the comp. That's the whole joke there. But if anyone's going to give it a crack, Melbourne sure will. 50-10 the scoreline here. Speaking of MC, you'll hear him tomorrow, Michael Carianis, alongside Andrew Moore and Luke Lewis from Cogra Jubilee for 3 hours of pre-game, or 3.5 hours of pre-game fun into Dragons Cowboys. Then it will be Titans Broncos at Rabina following on from that. Speaking of Andrew Moore, he was on deck at Stadium Australia earlier, where South beat Canterbury 32-24, and alongside Luke Lewis and John Gibbs filed up this report.
Spriggy, South Sydney started really well and ended really well. In the middle, Canterbury, Bankstown certainly